We are live with episode 38 of Casting the Shadows. Ta-da! Yeah, so Star
You
Citizen,
have
we
to
got
walk around with a hunchback?
Yes. Igor.
yes, master. Anything master.
master. As one of my friends that used to work for me used to constantly go, yes, boss.
Hey, Joseph was. Yeah, so
He meant it well, but I was always like, man, you make me feel so bad when you say that.
Okay, so we also have roadmap news. So let's start out with that. So we got roadmap news. Pretty much, August 25th, we got some updates to the roadmap, mostly to the progress tracker. Nothing. Release view roadmap, but the progress tracker where it tracks individual features of Star Citizen Squadron 40. We got some updates in that. We got a laser chip mining tier 0, adding laser bombs. We're getting final pass on bomb. Past final review for 15. Loot generation tier 0, past final review for Broken Moon map update for Arena Commander, just past final. Infiltration and defend missions, past final review. So these things are going to be confirmed for Alpha 3, which great.
On a note about the Squadron 42 stuff that you mentioned, I don't know if you're planning on going more in depth later on in the cast, but I just want to throw in there that just this last week, I want to. Not absolutely positive. I know I heard it, but I'm just not positive who the actual quote was. But I want to say it was on Astropub, and the theory is that there might be something going on with Squadron 42, and that's why Chris is moving back to England, because supposedly that's where the focus of Squadron 42 is.
Isn't that where Foundry 42 is?
Yeah. So the theory that's been floated out without any kind of background information being provided is that there might be some serious issues that's delaying the process, and that's why it's taking so long, and that's why Chris is going back over there permanently.
I will say this: the fact that he's going back probably means he's going to be. Again, how many guys?
What they're saying.
Yeah, how many head honchos do you know? They have coding experience and made themselves, but are gonna oh crap, something's wrong. I'm gonna get personally involved to make sure this goes right.
Oh, he's on record as actually actively coding.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, I figured that we should kind of mention that because it is important.
Yeah, how many CEOs of game companies, even I won't even go CEOs. How many mid-level managers are actually coding,
doing work as opposed to management?
Yeah, exactly.
On
that level, that's a good thing. But
whenever we say this, Star Citizen's Chris Roberts' baby, we don't mean that just because he's the creative guy. He's actually making the game. He's not. Yeah. And he's not the only one, of course. We always talk about other guys like Jeremiah Leah or Todd Pappy or John Tracy, Jason Schreier, but not Jason. Jason Schreier is the. But the FPS guy, Trier. His last name is Trier. I just don't. But all these different devs, and then Chris Roberts is involved himself as well. He actually does work. He's not just the head honcho.
He's not just sitting in a chair somewhere looking at cat memes all day.
Well, I won't go that far.
I mean, maybe he is. You don't know.
Yeah. Maybe he codes at night.
Oh, so I should correct myself. Okay, so all the roadmap stuff I just read, that is on the release view. Sorry. So they changed the release view. So Broken Moon, the map update, infiltration and defend mission, loot generation, and bombs have all been final pass reviewed. roadmap when you look at it. And Laser Trip Mine's Tier 0 is now going to be 16 really. Progress tracker, so this is where the progress tracker stuff is. We got player reflection, implementing a believable reflection of the player in reflective surfaces. So in other words, we are no longer going to be vampires in Star Citizen.
That was always hilarious.
We've been making fun of that since like what 2.5. That's going back 5 years ago.
But think about this: what they've said, the direction they're going with that to enable that. That reflective stuff is they're doing render to texture, which is very resource intensive for like if you're trying to do to give people an example, Arma 3 does render to texture. So when you're in a vehicle and you look at your side view mirrors, that's what you're seeing in that mirror is render to texture technology, and it's very resource intensive.
Well, still, if you have, let's say you've got a mirror, because mirrors are almost always going to be in like rooms and stuff, right?
Yep.
They're not going to be, you're not going to have too many like.
Before you go down that road, I want you to think about a reflective surface on a helmet.
Still, even then, that's a much smaller thing than every single mirror in the entire game all at once being loaded in. But as I'm sure you already were.
But almost every helmet does have a reflective surface.
The way that, but we don't know that's the way they're going to do it. Anyway, the way that they are planning on doing this kind of stuff is, let's say, for example, I have a Carrack. In my Carrack, I have a bathroom, and in the bathroom, there's a mirror. If that mirror is using random texture, that could be resource intensive. However, if there's no one in the room looking at the mirror, or rather, I should say, if I am not in the room looking at the mirror, so the door is not open, that's not going to be loaded for my game. So,
right, but
that does cut down somewhat on it.
Right, and that's not too bad. But start thinking about like when other people are sharing a reflective surface, so it's not just that one person. It's having to render it for each person who's viewing that. So. Especially if you start getting into like public places, that's where things like cities and towns are going to start getting kind of crazy.
A nice mirror behind the bar that everyone's sitting at.
Exactly. But that's what I'm trying to get at is like this is resource intensive. So I'm not saying it will, but it has a potential to
absolutely
drag this game down.
Well, if this is part of the again. Right. This was the progress tracker, not on the release. It's not. We don't know when this is coming.
Yeah, but they've been talking about render to texture
it was just added to progress tracker.
If it was something that could potentially, hey, look, the way we're doing this right now, it's bringing everything down. They would cut it. I guarantee they would cut it. I think it will. And be like, we'll address it, later on once we're better optimized or whatever else.
I think they will, because that's kind of what when they first came out and said we're going to go render to texture, a lot of people were like, no. And that was about 2-3 years ago. And then we haven't heard anything else about it until now. So I think this is going to be their first implementation. And this will kind of tell them whether they can do it or if, nope, we need to go back to the drawing board and figure another way to do it. But I think we will get it. Like, we will get reflective surfaces. It's just, what is the technology driving it?
It's a question of how and when. Because again, we don't know when they're implementing this. All we know is that this was just added to the progress track. We don't know, like, this is going to be here. Like, no, we don't know when. So we just know at the moment how, and that it was added to the progress tracker. So we know that we can watch it being developed as time goes on.
Yep.
That's really it. Next we've got lean over cover, so the ability for characters to push into cover objects as well as look, lean, and shoot over them.
Is that for players or AI?
For players. I think. I mean, I can't. Actually, AI I think can already do that.
Can they?
Yeah, they
I mean, I know they do limited movement, but
I've seen AI.
AI can shoot over cover.
Yeah, I've seen an AI literally, like, he doesn't get up from his cover. He literally just holds his gun out over the cover and shoots you, or attempts to shoot you. It's actually really cool when it works.
Yeah, it's definitely nice that we're getting these same functionality.
Well, yeah, because the whole point is to make it where, because remember, their goal is to make it well and players. Obviously, if you have NPCs that can do unique animation players can't, that's definitely going to be a telling sign, especially in combat. Because then it'll let you know, oh, you know, if you're fighting, say, a mix of players and NPCs, right, and they want this thing to be seamless where you don't know which player and NPC. And then you see one of the enemies doing an NPC unique animation, you know, okay, I can target the player first, and then I can take out the NPC.
Also, to imagine when you have ships that have both player and NPC crews.
Right. Let's see. We also
My
got
hirelings that call me boss.
Yes.
Hey, boss.
I got winged.
We also got System Broadcaster, so allowing for server-wide communications to players.
Don't they already have that?
I think so, but I don't.
I know they've sent out server messages before for things like, hey guys, we're doing maintenance on the next patch. Server's going down.
I think this is. I think this is an in-game.
They have to tell everybody how to get to XenoThreat, right?
Oh no, yeah, and that it might be a cinematic tie-in, but I have actually seen in the in-game chat. So like you're playing on a server, and you get a notice saying, "Hey, server's going down in X time."
Yeah, I think this way it's for CIG to kind of like give you have to at the moment when you're in game and you say they're about to do server maintenance, you don't know until the server stops working. Maybe it's like a heads up type.
I know what would solve that. Persistence. Because then you wouldn't care that the game had crashed because you know that your stuff's okay.
All stuff would be
You're just going to log back in.
True. Destructible environments, allowing pieces of foliage to be destroyed. The river, roads, and basins. Roads have been separated into with schedules being. So we're gonna get roads. Roads.
Where we're going, we don't need any stinking roads.
I do like though that roads are going to be big enough to have their own card, but at the same point, like I just really want that, just because honestly, I think it's gonna be fun driving down them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No,
I want a road like you and I have talked about this for years. Like we just want a road through cities so we can literally just drive through the cities instead of relying on public transport. The city has.
Yeah.
I will say this though.
That's a really hot take. Roads are fun for driving on.
I know, right?
Here's
you
one
heard
thing
it here
though.
First, folks. Fuck. Hey.
I'm all for roads, but I would also like to see that there's a reason for roads in the sense that around any kind of populated place, there should be roads. But if you're flying on the backside of a moon that, the nearest outpost is 2,300 kilometers away.
I want a road that goes there.
You shouldn't see a road network out in the middle of nowhere with no
what?
reason for it to exist.
Or if there is one, the road should be very rough as opposed to these are roads every day.
I want on
there were roads here once. They were in use once, but now almost no one, maybe one person a month drives through there.
I do want on Daymar. On Daymar, we need a road that just goes from one outpost to another.
Mando, you got to step in riding people. Holy shit!
I was gonna say that I think I'm perfectly okay with if they want a reason for roads, they could say, hey, here's an old abandoned settlement. So there's some old dilapidated roads, and there might even be some structures out there. That's cool.
Yeah.
But there was thought put into that. What I don't want is just, hey, we generated a moon with roads, and there's nobody on it.
No, exactly.
Oh, yeah, like what? Like procedurally generated roads?
Yeah.
No, I don't think. I hope they don't do that.
One thing that might be cool too. I don't know if they would do this or not. But let's say, for example, hey, we've got this moon, and it's got the standard kind of different places on it. Emergency stations and mining facilities, whatnot. It'd be interesting to see if they were like, hey, we're going to have some very simplistic automated driving. So
Yeah.
like the vehicles are on like a like kind of like what we have almost now, and it's just like a point A to point B kind of thing. There's nothing fancy about it. They aren't going to be able to like take evasive action if some shit happens there. But that might give a reason too why roads might be a little more maintained, and that you have these drones just
Yep.
kind of moving stuff from point A to point B.
As long as there's infrastructure or lore to back it, I'm all for it.
Yup.
Like, I think that'll be cool. Like I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is I have no problem, and I actually think it'd be cool to be out on what we consider an abandoned moon that only has like 3 mines on it, and to be in the middle of nowhere and you see a convoy of robotic trucks just cruising across the horizon. Like, that's cool.
Or
I'm down with that.
Who says they have to be robotic? Let's say they're just man truck. Like, that's just these people
Well,
that operate on this moon.
Also, too, if you have robotic vehicles, you could say, hey, they were left here 100 years ago, and they're still able to go around. Whereas if they're people, even if they're NPCs, you still have to give a reason. Why are they here? You kind of just have to do the writing a little bit neater.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I meant like, okay, you have the 3 outposts, like they're actual outposts you can survive, and they're
If they're like actively being used, yeah.
In other words, there's lore and there's thought put into why the roads exist. That's all I'm getting.
Yep.
I'm sure they will. I mean, it's not like they haven't. There's very few cases where they've just neglected lore.
As opposed to other developers.
Right. Well, that's because in most games, they usually, like, you have the lore separate from the game. Like, the gameplay obviously is going to be different from what the lore, especially Halo is one of the big have. Yeah, in Halo, soldiers the Spartans are practically invincible compared to in the game, because the game has to be fun for gameplay purposes, whereas it's a little different. Whereas Star Citizen lore, literally the lore team works with the mission and gameplay team in order to make a lot of cross-team communication. I was saying before you were interrupting me, you can have like, imagine a road, like almost like a Mad Max style road, just on Daymar, just going from one outpost to another, like 300-kilometer road. That's like, yeah, it's not like a paved road or anything. It's just it's like a dirt road. You can tell it's there, but it's not been maintained. It was clearly set up years ago. It's like still used. Hell, even something like the Daymar Rally can have racing roads.
I don't think they want roads.
Maybe. But they are not the only player-based racing. But on next we got XenoThreat. So XenoThreat 2.0. I've played some of it. It's okay. I mean, it's just more XenoThreat.
It's XenoThreat 1 on a different day.
Same shit?
Different day.
So XenoThreat 2.0, for those who don't know what XenoThreat is, it's a in-game event where you have xenophobic terrorist group comes into the star system and wreck up the place. You have to fight them. And you have to go to wrecks. They've destroyed some transport, so you have to go to the transport wrecks. You have to salvage the cargo that they were transporting, haul them onto your ship, and then deliver them to a space station. Rearm and repair the javelin that's docked there. And XenoThreat 2.0 has been having a lot of bugs. From what I've heard, specifically with the wrecks, I know Mav was telling me that the wrecks would not spawn for him flying the other. So that's not good.
I should note I'm doing it right now, like as we speak. I
just
got out of a wreck, and it's been. I will say, so the biggest issues I've been seeing and hearing of currently after the current fixes they've done are 30Ks at the big fight at the end.
With the Idris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Either during or after.
I did
I've
some
also
gameplay
been
the other night.
hearing a
And,
lot of people.
yeah. Sorry.
Just gonna say, I've been hearing a lot of people say that one of the issues they're having is that the wreck spawns, but none of the internal pieces and parts are spawning, so they can't. It's like the wreck's there, but they can't get anything out of the wreck.
The I've only done it once so far, the new one, and I came in. They were already battling Idris, so I was battling the Idris as well. And then I got a game crash. Not even a 30K, just a straight up game crash. Crashed the desktop. Wasn't great.
The other thing I was seeing, and this isn't some. I'm not going to say that this is a bug, but I was seeing a fully player manned hammerhead taking down an Idris within about it's probably about 10-15 minutes.
Wow.
But
what?
They barely took any damage.
What
Like,
type of guns were they using?
I don't know. Lasers. Some
Probably
type
stock.
of laser.
Probably stock.
Probably stock. Yeah, size 4 rhinos.
But what I'm getting at is that there wasn't a whole lot of other. I mean, there were other players there, but that hammerhead basically just rotated around that Idris pretty much unhindered. I think there was maybe like about 30 seconds where one of the gunners was like, "Hey, I noticed our front shields are down. We need to back off." And the pilot like backs off to about 4,000 meters for 20 seconds, lets the front shield come back up, and then moved back in and just continued to rotate around
to be fair,
that
the
Idris
hammerhead's
and
a
killed it.
sub-capital.
I'm sorry?
So the hammerhead is a sub-capital. So
Yes.
not to say it should be able to
I'd call it a light
and
cruiser.
but
Yeah.
we're still talking 10 minutes of sustained fire.
Yeah, true.
We're also
True.
talking about 6 size 4, each having 4 size 4 laser repeaters.
Yeah, it's 24 laser repeaters, size
That's a
4
lot of
laser
firepower.
repeaters shooting. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, the AI right now is pretty fucking shit in terms of like evasive maneuvers or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be part of what I was saying, is that the Idris really never landed too many shots. There were a couple times, but in general, the Idris was always kind of like following, was like 10 seconds behind wherever the hammerhead had been. And
I can't speak from, like, Idris, from what I'm aware of, is the goal for the Idris, to aim its railgun at the javelin and fire at it. So
yeah,
it's probably prioritizing that, which then leaves it open.
True.
For
Its objective is not to fight, whereas our objective is just to fight. Their objective is to take out a specific target. So
they have a specific objective. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, they have a specific target that they have to destroy. Whereas we also do, but it's our target is targeting something else, leaving it open to.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess maybe I gotta agree with you, because I'm also, I didn't think of this, but I'm also approaching this like, well, look at what the hammerhead could do, but then again, I need to see. Let's see what an Idris fully manned does with players, like
Right. That's another
and then
thing too.
see what a hammerhead does, and then
AI...
we'll have a better. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you continue.
It's your show.
Well, it's our show, but pretty much what I was gonna say is the server tick rate really does kind of hinder the AI overall, like all across the board, whether it's dogfighting.
Oh, absolutely.
Specifically, FPS I think suffer the most. Like the FPS AI suffer the most from server tick rate, but the dogfighting AI and evidently the Idris AI as well are all definitely being hampered by the server tick rate. So they're not functioning the way they should, and again, leaves them very vulnerable and easy for players to attack because proverbial sitting ducks.
Agree.
91 and Nerd Portal Lifeform are in the chat saying, "Sup, peep, and hey guys."
Yo.
But yeah, so the AI are, it's interesting because we've seen what the AI can do in isolated environments through test builds, footage that they've shown in like old Around the Verse episodes, and other such footage, and it is really good. But then when you have it in the servers on GPU, it's not. Obviously, again, server tick rates definitely hamper. The fact that the servers are well beyond their capacity. That we're talking like before they added Crusader in, they were already pushing the limit of the server. Now they're well past the limit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which is why we're getting all these 30Ks. Like, it's literally the server crashing.
I think they need to rip Olisar out right now.
Why do you hate Olisar?
Because it's old tech, which means it's a huge resource system hog.
No.
I don't know. I think I'd honestly want to see them address whatever the hell's going on with Microtech first.
That's fair.
Because
But if you pull out Olisar, maybe Microtech won't have as many problems.
you don't know that.
Yeah, that's a pretty big maybe.
You
So
don't,
pull it out.
Why not? Why not try to assess the problem and try to figure out what's wrong
well, I mean,
before you
hold on.
try to
I'm
treat a
saying,
symptom?
Do it on their servers, behind the scenes.
Oh,
yank out
okay.
Olisar and see what happens.
How do we know they
and
haven't
then
already
you
done
say,
that?
hey, it's working.
They've likely already done that kind of stuff.
I don't know.
All I know is that whenever you get near Microtech, it's not even just New Babbage, but in orbit around Microtech as well. You're pretty much just your frame rate just dies. It's all stuttery and choppy. It's like, yeah, you're literally slideshow citizen again. Whereas
For me, that's every major landing zone.
Yeah, but even for me, even at Crusader at Orison, like, yeah, I got low frame rate, but it's still smooth. Like, it's not like the frame rate is, yeah, it's a low frame rate, but it's not like a slideshow. There's no lag. Whereas around Microtech, there's very intense.
See, for me, I get very intense lag at New Babbage, Microtech, Horizon. Hurston even has lag, but that's the least amount of lag that I get. So that's why I always spawn at Hurston. Not because I like the place. It's just it's the only place I can actually fly out of.
A likely story.
You know what's funny is the place I get the best performance landing zone wise, probably ArcCorp.
Wow.
I know.
Especially considering when it first came out there.
No, I was always having decent performance even when it first came out. But
I remember lots of issues.
It was because it came out 3.5. It was 6.1, not 3.6, but 3.6.1 where I started having issues with ArcCorp. But now it's all good again.
Now it's all good in the hood.
When you say they need to fix ArcCorp, what pops into my head? They need to better define the spaceport. Just imagine you're showing up to ArcCorp. You don't know where the spaceport is, and it's nighttime. How the fuck do you find that place?
Even during the day, it's not exactly super.
Yeah, exactly. That was because I avoided ArcCorp for like the first 2 patches it was out, just because every time I went near it, my frames got so bad that it just wasn't fun. And when it finally got to the point where they had cleaned it up enough that I could actually fly to it, I remember flying in and I was like, I have no idea where the spaceport is because it was at night.
Yeah. Honestly, what's great, if you want to experience ArcCorp and don't want to actually land there, just, you don't even have to go to Area 18. Just go one of the other areas and just land at on top of a random landing pad. On top of a rooftop. It's like just hang out there and watch the city skyline. Kind of cool.
Watch the city burn.
That too.
It's got some really nice views, and I like the design. I'm not faulting it in any way that way.
It has such a nice atmosphere to it. Like when you're actually out on the planet, walking around. I do like the atmosphere. Other reason why.
You mean ambiance? Because atmosphere could mean something totally different.
Well, the atmosphere, the
fair.
ambiance, just the feel that you get when you're just walking
Yeah,
around.
that's ambiance. Atmosphere is like choking, coughing, lots of fumes, bad air. Like Hurston. But anyways,
Who
I just think that Olisar
likes Hurston?
has old
Look, just because
tech.
you hate Olisar,
Well, here's the other thing. I want them to move Olisar to be the space station for Crusader, like
It
every
is right
other
now.
landing zone has.
Yeah, but I don't want a hell. I don't even like that about the current stations like Everest Harbor and Port Tressler. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that they're just the same exact station type as the Lagrange point.
yeah.
I feel if they're gonna be the orbital station above a planetary surface, they need to have something that makes them a bit more unique to that location. They're just the same as the station that's like on the other side of the system, not even orbiting a planet, but in the gravity well.
It would be nice if they were corporate in the sense that like each planet is owned by a different corporation.
Well, they're
That
each
that
named
same
by that
corporate
corporation.
branding kind of
Yeah.
played into
Yeah.
that you see on planet surface, maybe played into the station. That
Right,
was
like
directly
maybe
above it.
some of the architecture, the interior architecture has like the micro, for Port Tressler
Yep.
has some like microtech designs and new Babbage style,
Yeah.
interior design there. Same thing with ArcCorp and Hurston for their orbital stations. That'd be nice.
Yep.
And definitely recolor the exterior models of the. Just to make them stand out, because all the stations use the same that color scheme. That powder blue, industrial yellow.
Well, I
Yellow,
mean,
orange.
it depends. Is it Tuesday?
Yes.
Always too.
Because it might be like a dark purple and cream, depending on
Yeah,
which
you never know.
what direction the sunlight is coming from in game. I'm not. I wish they would get some standardized color schemes going in the sense that it seems like the lighting technology that they're using makes every single thing look totally different. Like if you move 2 feet and the light changes, it's just it's frustrating.
I haven't really done
No,
that.
I agree.
I haven't seen that as a problem.
Like, okay, so get dressed up in let's say dust up armor. Look at what it looks like when you're standing in the shop. Take a picture of that. Then go out to to where you spawn your ship. To the ship console. Take a picture. See what your suit of armor looks like at that point. Then fly down to a moon. Take a picture. Tell me what color your suit color is. I'm not saying what color is the sun or the atmosphere. Tell me what your suit color actually looks like. And it'll go through like 40 different shades. And some of them aren't even like in close to the spectrum of what the original color was starting with. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sometimes the color changes can be pretty awkward.
Yeah. It's like you got a green suit on, but suddenly because of the light, it's purple. And it's like, really? Like green to purple? That's
That's a pretty heavy change there.
yeah.
Not that it's impossible, but shouldn't be common.
Yeah. I think I don't know for sure, but I think the reason is that, as the developers are putting lighting in to the different places, I think those lighting values are so different. Are like each team or each individual is creating their own light effect numbers essentially. Like the actual numbers behind the lighting are different just from place to place to place because you've had different people working on them. And it'd be nice if there was a standardization of whatever that.
I mean, there will be eventually.
Yeah.
I just
So
pulled
that,
up. I just pulled up 3 different old screenshots. One in dark lighting environment, and I'm wearing black armor. So. My shoulder pads do look a little color, but everything else looks.
I mean, we used to talk about it, back in like,
Yeah, it was definitely more
2.7,
prominent now,
2.8.
but I'm saying I haven't seen such an issue.
I think you might just be going colorblind. You don't notice it because you don't pay attention to it.
No, I'm just
Because it's something that I pick up on constantly.
like look
and
at
I'm
the
just
screen.
like,
Just look at the. You see the shots on the stream right now?
no, I wasn't looking at the stream. God, you like expect effort and shit, don't you? Hold on.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna complain about something, you gotta have to back it up.
Well, to that I say, Ree!
Yes, and shadows. Loading.
Because I remember what you were saying. We both were complaining about it. It was a huge problem because I'd have you have green armor. It looked purple in certain.
Yeah. Okay. So like what you're showing right there. So everything that looks like grayish white, you could go to another location like this. I'm assuming that's Hurston because of what that building is in the background. But if you're to go to Grimhex, everything that you see that is white might possibly turn green.
Well,
That like
I don't wear
and
white
that's
armor,
just
so.
and when I say when you go to Grimhex, what I mean is like, let's say you're up at the ship terminals in Grimhex, everything that's white might have a greenish tint to it. And then but you go downstairs and you go into the bar, and because there's a red light in there, suddenly everything's got a very red hue to it. Not just like, how do I put this? It's like it's like they are putting mood lighting like you find in a club everywhere, to the point where you're just walking around outside, in Hurston, let's say, you're just walking around, but your armor might turn like 5 different shades walking down a corridor just because the lights are different color spectrums each time. I'm not doing a good job of explaining. But if you go running around in the game and you look and you pay attention to what you're wearing as you run through those environments, you'll see that your armors constantly change.
Well, here's my white armor in Grimhex.
Okay.
But what are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
But this is in one spot now. I'm assuming this is down on one of the lower levels.
Lower
correct?
levels, yes.
Right. So now, if you were to take that same exact picture up at the ship terminals where the lighting is different, then we would have a better idea of what I'm talking about, because then you could do a side-by-side comparison and you would see that there's a difference in because of the lighting. And I realize when I'm saying this, it sounds like I'm just like people are going, duh, the lighting's different. It's going to be different. My whole point is that green, like, there's not a standardized green light. There's like 50 different shades of green light, and it seems like each person,
50 shades of green.
each dev is using his own shade of green as he's playing, as they're developing the game, which means a place like Grimhex has like 37 shades of green. Is what is all I'm saying is it'd be nice if their lighting numbers were universal, so that when a dev selects light green, his light green is the same as every other light green that was selected. That's a better way of saying it. So that when you're walking around in your armor, you're not seeing 37 different shades of armor.
Too late.
Does that make sense? Better sense, Mando?
Left.
Yeah. Again, as I was saying, like it used to be a huge problem. I just haven't noticed it a lot recently. But again, I have been wearing mostly black armor for 2 years.
Yeah. And
I'm
also,
not going
I
to really
do
be seeing
remember
it.
Daymar used to be like the worst for that, and that was old tech for the lighting. But I still notice it. Mainly Hurston and Grimhex and Olisar. So the old tech.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're gonna make us watch commercials?
Yes.
I see how it is.
Where you see commercial?
Don't ask
Just had a
questions.
Best Buy commercial on.
So,
sure.
or
Whatever.
First of all, don't ask questions. Second of all, don't ask questions.
Okay, I gotta go then. I'm here for the questions.
But
but
what about the
back to
answers?
XenoThreat though.
I don't care about those.
So
I'm American, damn it.
the version of XenoThreat that's current second iteration of threat. It's pretty much what based on feedback from the original revamped version, I guess. Updated event improved that barely worked. Cam, how you still in game trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I'm at stage 3 of the event here. I actually just quantum traveled with the javelin. So I'm currently in a Talon Shrike right now, and apparently in the current iteration, they've given it. I believe these are some light strike cannons. So if I can actually hit the enemies, it actually does pretty decent here. We'll see in the next like 10 minutes or so how well this actually goes.
Has anyone figured out? Because I know I asked this question like back when like 3.1.3 came out. Has anyone tested capacitors and not overclocking, but oversizing their power source, or are the capacitors completely blocking that? In other words, if you get the biggest power source component.
Right now, power plants, there's no difference between one power plant and another.
What do you mean by that?
So with the capacitors and the general combat updates, if you were to buy one power plant, it's going to be the same as another power plant for that ship. They've all been equalized while they do combat balances.
But I'm seeing other streamers who are saying different.
That's what CIG said. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know. I haven't fucked with it too much. But
Okay, because I just saw
standardized for this patch.
Hawks Gaming just did he has like a real short take on building a stealth prospector build, and he shows you what the numbers are showing up on his screen, and there is a big difference. So I don't know if that's just the numbers are showing, but it doesn't mean anything, or if
I don't know,
they're an actual change. But yeah, that's interesting. Because to me, the capacitors seem just like a choke point.
Yeah. My issue with capacitors, like in terms of capacitors themselves, I'm kind of, I don't really care one way or the other. In terms of laser weapons, I like the changes in that they now have like they've got essentially a stockpile of energy, a magazine of energy, so to speak. You fire it, if you keep on firing it, you're out. You have to wait for it to recharge, and you can fire again. I like that aspect to it. I don't like how they handled the ballistic weapons in terms of how they upped the damage of them, but they heavily nerfed the ammo the total ammo you're getting. Just because I feel like it puts it in the same niche as missiles, in that you rarely ever use them except for a few specific circumstances, and otherwise they're dead weight.
Right.
And when that's taking up an entire weapon hard point, it's like, why would I ever put ballistic weapons on there, especially if I might be encountering more than one fight? Because that pretty much means that unless I'm just focusing on like one single enemy for a mission or one single PvP fight or something, if I'm doing anything PvE, like, hey, I'm an escort for a cargo ship, I have to have laser weapons unless we're okay with stopping the whole convoy, or if we've got some kind of resupply ship to restock me in between fights. Because otherwise,
and we're just playing in Stanton system. We've already figured out that there's systems that are like 12 times the size of Stanton that you need to transit
and you
across.
might have systems where you don't have anything except for what you might have systems like, for instance, let's say Pyro, but there is no Rift Station. You have no resupply.
Exactly. And that's where I'm kind of looking at the energy weapons, and that's why I'm asking these questions, because I'm thinking like, okay, so if they put capacitors in, then to me that means that power plant doesn't mean anything anymore. So what's the point? Because it's limiting my power. Who gives a fuck? Whereas if they were to take away the capacitor and make the power plant actually mean something, then it actually, like, in other words, you can go with a power plant that gives you all the power you want, which means you get lots and lots of pew pew. But guess what? You're putting out a ton of energy, which is increasing your IR rating, and maybe because you've got so much energy running through there, it's wearing down your components that much quicker, or your wiring harness that much quicker. But if you go with a less powerful, it means it'll last longer, but you get less pew pew. Like, then the component changing actually means something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we'll have to see, and I'm sure they have long-term plans. The problem is too is that the information we have is much less than the information CIG has, and they're like 15 steps ahead.
Yeah.
And all we're seeing is step 3 here.
Good point.
I will say one issue I'm having right now, just in the fight in general, is that I keep having targets, like I'm following a target in my fighter here, so I'm mostly going against other small craft, and it'll just like de-target it. Like, I still see the ship is still there, but it just removes my having targeted them.
I've been seeing a lot of streamers have the ship just disappear, and then like 15 seconds later it reappears.
I don't think that's what's happening, because I can still, like, I'm tailing these ships pretty decently in my talon. Like, the ship's still there, just my targeting pip has disappeared or delocked or whatever. And I gotta say, it's pretty annoying.
What some of the others have been saying is that it's because of the gas cloud is interfering with
it could be. That might be just
that's what I assumed. I've had it where when I was playing on Saturday night, I had the Idris targeted, and then it would just untarget every now. So I just assumed that it was the gas cloud. And then again, the game did crash afterwards, server. But I've been noticing a lot of issues with XenoThreat.
I'm seeing a lot of just lag in the fight, and I mean that makes sense. You've got how many? You've probably got like 36 ships here with XenoThreat and all the players. So
at least
all congregated in a single spot.
Yeah.
Like if the latency was a bit less and it wasn't for these targeting issues, I'd be. I mean, I would say right now I'm. Like, if I was to put it on a scale, I'd say I'm enjoying myself 7 out of 10 right now. But if I had better targeting here and less lag,
TMI, man, TMI.
Hey, Data.
What's going on, guys?
XenoThreat.
We're trying to make Coolio shut up because he's just talking too much.
The first word was TMI, so now I'm considering whether I should be here or not.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, Cam basically said he was satisfying himself 7 out of 10, and that's when I said TMI.
Against
Oh, yeah,
XenoThreat.
yeah. Good call. TMI.
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is, what could possibly go wrong?
I think you answered your own question by asking the question.
Details.
With you, there's always a way it could go wrong.
Failure is always an option.
Man, every mission's a suicide mission. Is that Brown again?
You would make a good zap.
Hey?
Oh,
I said, you know what? Cam would make a good zap.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me lobotomize 90% of my brain here.
Yeah. Like, not quite yet, though.
Why are you saying it as if that's
drill.
something you're going to do in the future when we know that's a past tense thing?
Look, just because the military tried.
Would you know that they tried and didn't succeed if you had 10%
Probably.
left?
No, he'd probably think that he was super smart because. I don't know. He'd be. I mean, look, he's missing 10%. If he's missing 90% of his brain,
who are insane.
If he's missing 90% of his brain, he's gonna, regardless.
I think if he's missing 90% of his brain, he's going to be dead.
By some miracle, he survives. True. But if by some miracle he survives, he'll literally be a human vegetable.
Idiot savant.
But don't you love vegetables?
Only when they're tasty. You don't look that tasty.
Okay, why
this conversation is getting saucy now?
Oh shit, wings hit. Fuck.
So this is what we've been up to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm spinning in circles.
Data, we were talking about the XenoThreat stuff and how the new XenoThreat is very buggy.
Yeah, I'll have to actually do it this time because last time I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, we all did it. Where the hell were you?
Is it? Actually, isn't it getting ready to end?
Yeah, it ends. It was last week. It was all of last week, and I think it may have already ended.
I think it ended last night.
Cam, you were just playing though, weren't
you? I'm in it right now, but I just got shot in the wing, and I'm just spinning right now.
Okay.
For some reason, it's always when I'm not here that it happens.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also something people have been commenting on, is that it seems to be, it's definitely geared towards specific time zones and towards like the weekend players in general.
Specific days of the week too. Like I haven't been able to play a lot of it because it's only on the weekends. The weekends being my busiest time of the week.
But then again, people are commenting that this is also still a manually activated mission. Like there's a developer who goes and says, okay, start the missions, okay, end the missions, and what they want in the long term is that none of that will happen. It's just
they want it to be dynamic and start whenever, be automatic.
Like players will unlock it through their actions in the game, so there won't be a specific time zone or server to be on. Regional server is what I mean, to make sure that it's activated.
Which would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we all want, right? Is to not know what's going to happen when you take that mission. Like, to not know that by going to that cave and finding that piece of equipment that one guy dropped, that you just stumbled upon, was actually what started a new XenoThreat mission that pops up an hour later. Like that's what makes gaming fun, that adventure. But if you just log in because your buddy goes, hey dude, the devs just activated the mission, everybody get on, like what
right
kind of
and that's when you have, like as Cam was saying, where you have like 3 dozen ships, players, NPCs, except the whole kit and caboodle all in one location because everyone's going to try and get in this during this event because they know it's only going to be for the weekend or for the entirety of this week type.
Yeah.
Well, the counter argument to things being spontaneous and happening is that I agree with it only if they are not offering special rewards for completing it. So in this
Yeah,
case,
I,
if
I I think this is a specific one, but I agree with you in general concept. Yes. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
no, that's okay. I just wanted to point that out. If they're going to offer like a custom outfit for completing the event, it doesn't it wouldn't be fair to a certain subset of players who don't get to play it because they didn't know it was going to happen. So
But vice versa on that too. You know, only running it on the weekends at, Friday through Monday. What about people who can't play during those zones? Like, then you need to run it, run it from Monday to Monday, something like that.
yeah,
It'd also be nice just to kind of have maybe they should make a schedule for when they're.
That would make sense. There's been a lot of people.
Right, I'm sorry,
that.
too much logic here.
Yeah. No, somebody actually put a post, I guess, and got some flack on what you call it, the CIG posts.
Spectrum?
Basically just said, hey, CIG, like, just if you're manually activating these missions, just tell us when it's gonna happen.
Right, because this
Give
way
me a
people can
schedule.
plan. They can plan their schedule around. They can actually be able to
Yeah.
participate because they know when it's coming. Versus, XenoThreat, like this past XenoThreat, kind of like, oh crap, it's just happening. Like, okay.
Well, yeah. The
I'm not
post
gonna be able to
apparently
play
was
it.
from a streamer who had spent like 5 hours waiting for it to happen, and it never happened during his stream zone. And he was basically just kind of, ranting.
Rightfully pissed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the XenoThreat stuff. Maybe we'll play it.
It's
still
good
going.
money though. For anyone who's listening who's got no experience with it, you can make
a huge amount of money.
insane amount of money.
And it's really fun.
When
it works, it's really
like,
fun. We're just, we've played it, so we're a little like, what else is new?
Yeah.
You get about 2,000 credits every like 4 minutes or so.
I remember
Maybe
one mission. From beginning to end, one cycle through it, I made over 750,000 credits.
I made 5 million from the previous versions that we January.
Yeah. So I mean that's that full cycle, like one full cycle, that's maybe 45 minutes to an hour of gameplay. And then you just keep doing it again.
So
yeah. Also too, so I had to abandon my Talon because I got a wing shot off and it did a Dutchman, but guy in a Connie picked me up, so now I'm gunning one of the Connie turrets and back in the fight.
Hooray.
Woo!
I'm dead, literally. So moving on from the XenoThreat, unless you guys have something else to add for the Xeno. Bottom line, it's definitely a fun event that you should most certainly partake in if you can. But at the moment, the servers are really glitchy, so bear that in mind. But moving on, we also have so we got ISC last week as well as Star Citizen Live. ISC, they did another origin story regarding one of the employees of CIG. This is the sitting guy. I have the footage on screen right now. It was cool, but I definitely agree. Again, it's just the same point that we made when they did the first origin story. I want this to be a separate video series, not inside Star Citizen.
Yeah. What I'm commonly calling it is this needs to be the Tuesday show.
Right.
And that's referencing back to old school before CIG was CIG. They used to have shows on Tuesdays that were just kind of like random stuff that they would talk about.
Well,
And
they
to
used
me,
to have a
this
show
fits
every day
that.
of the week. They used to have Citizen Spotlight, Bug Smasher, Lore Maker's Guide to the
Yeah.
Galaxy,
Yep.
Round the Verse,
And
Reverse the
this guy
Verse.
needs somebody to stop him going out the door wearing stuff like that. That's all. He apparently has no friends because nobody said, "Don't wear that."
That shirt.
Yeah, that shirt is too loud.
I will say one thing too that I love about the XenoThreat event is just seeing all of the players in one area. You know, you've seen everything from fully
Right.
manned hammerheads to all the fighters zipping about to things like constellations or Valkyries. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. It's just lovely to see that kind of, because I mean it makes the server feel alive, and I can't wait until we're seeing that more large scale with both NPCs and other players.
Right, because that's, again, and that ties back to almost like some server meshing there. That eventually, for server meshing, gone on about that. Server meshing does will allow for a larger server, or rather, multiple servers creating a larger instance. Sorry, a larger instance. This way, we can have more than 50 players per instance, and around, as opposed to just occasionally seeing them at space stations, spaceports, and then off on your own adventure. You're flying with people.
The one thing I'm always amazed with is when I see like 3 or 4 different ships all pulled up to a wreck, and there's like 6 to 8 players that are just streaming cargo into these other ships. That's when I'm just like, this is a unique game. Like,
Yeah.
think of any other game in existence that you can see that as a multiplayer game, and it works.
Well, I mean, because like you'll literally have someone who they flew in a fighter, and now they're in the wreck. They cleared it out, and they're just going and moving cargo over for someone else in the cargo ship to pull up. And then you're like, "Oh, cargo ship pulled up. Hey, let me just start putting cargo in there for you. I got you." You know, it's like you don't even necessarily have to communicate.
Yeah, I'm just every time I see that, I'm blown away, and that's the really impressive thing to me about XenoThreat is seeing that cooperation in action.
Yeah, it's nice. That's the thing about Star Citizen in general, is that the community is a really well group of people that you just like.
Game just froze.
Except for the pad rammers.
No, except for the pet. Well, it doesn't mean everyone.
They're especially good.
Well, they bring people together.
They just love people more than everybody else, and they want to show everybody.
They want to hug you.
By giving, yeah.
They want to hug you at 500 meters per second.
But yeah.
Such an explosive hug.
Hey, just wait until we have C4. Or I should say, toggleable explosive charges.
I want to
via a remote. Just imagine, you've got like someone lands their ship, right? And you're like, okay, I found them. Okay, let me go, and before I go and confront them, let me throw like 15 things of C4 on their ship here. Oh no, they got away! What a shame! Click.
I just want those tripwire mines they're talking about, so I can get out of my ship, plant the tripwire mine at the entrance to my ship, and then walk away. And 10 minutes later, here it go, boom.
Yeah.
I want to do is have like I want to have a series of them, so like line the entirety of the cargo bay. So this way, Atlas. This way, you have multiple. So if one guy goes, then another guy tries, and another guy tries. There's another trip mine waiting for them.
Because they're not going to hear the explosions or.
You've been playing survival Arma games, Mando.
What was that?
They're not going to see any of that.
They're not going to see the bodies littering the cargo bay. As they try to make their daring attempt to steal the ship
or the lasers.
or the lasers.
Although it would be interesting if they made the lasers, because realistically it would be like an IR laser, right? You wouldn't visually see it. They're probably going to make it visual, but it would.
They
be
don't
interesting
necessarily
if they were
have to
not make it visual, unless this would be more down the line. But unless you had a certain helmet visor mode on, like an EM or something, or IR or whatever.
They don't necessarily have to make it visible. They can make it where it lights up, so you just have to look for the mine itself.
I wouldn't want to have
because some
where
games
you
already
have
do that.
to-
It's not
to be safe. You
impossible.
have to sit there and like look for like 2 minutes before you're like, oh, okay, I know it's
Well, it
safe.
beats
And then
the
it's like, oh, they put
alternative
it behind a
of
box. Because also it's like, oh, they put it behind a box. You can't see that part of the box there. Are you just boned? Like that wouldn't be very cool.
well, if they put it behind a box, then how's it supposed to work? Because the box would be blocking
No,
the...
so you're in a hallway, right? So relatively narrow hallway. There's a box in the hallway that just takes up like one little part of it. So as you're walking past the box, behind the box, obstructed from your field of view, you got the trip mine aimed across. So by the time you see it, oh, too late, you already triggered it. That would be pretty shitty.
It also depends on how they do
a
it.
way to see the tripwire in some way.
It also depends on how they're gonna do wire mines. Like, are they gonna be, an instant explosion the second you walk, trip that wire, boom, or is it gonna be?
I mean,
like
I would assume it would be something pretty quick, just because if it was like a beep 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 boom, it's like with those, even that was what, 2 seconds. That would probably be, assuming these things are going to have let's say a radius of about 3 meters that they're deadly in. That's still enough time to clear that. If I'm already moving, that's enough time for me to go and actually, keep sprinting through or something like that and avoid it.
If they were smart, they'd let you set that when you set it.
Yeah, that will be interesting, but what would a longer fuse really gain you? Not to say there couldn't be some situations in which that would be beneficial in some way, but generally speaking, for your average user putting these things down, because the idea is that this is something that you don't have to be sitting there watching to activate. And if they have enough time to get out of that blast radius, what's the point?
But if you can direct where that where the sensor is pointing, then you may want a 1 second delay so that the person does turn into
itself. Yes, absolutely.
Or you might want to only get the second or third person if you're expecting the line.
Also, we just don't know enough about really anything about the
we just don't have enough info.
At least the Star Citizen's versions of tripwires. Because honestly, in most games, it's usually pass a wire, boom. Half-Life and Spawn game. You have first off, it's a visible laser. The second you pass it, it blows up in your face.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I mean, by today's right now, real life standards, we have night vision with thermal combined, and LiDAR is becoming the next big thing. So essentially, you have guys who can see at night heat images and, depending on the strength of the LiDAR, down to certain depths, everything that they're looking at. So to say that we are, 600 years or 1,000 years into the future and we don't have that capability,
yeah, exactly.
I'm going to call bullshit.
Depends on what level you're talking about, because those are extremely expensive instruments. Like
they are now.
Seriously.
But I understand what you're saying, but look at night vision. Like, you can buy a set of good NVGs nowadays, whereas 10 years ago they were $20,000. So 600 years from now,
I think 10 years ago,
I believe
you
that
could get a cheap set with
one at a time,
Duty, like World War II.
Yeah, I had a set of those.
So I believe for what the U.S. Army uses as their top of the end, it's like the 4 lenses, right? I can't remember what they're called. Those are around $40,000 right now if you want to buy them as a civilian.
Right, but okay, so now 600, 1,000 years from now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not going to be close to that, right? But I'm just saying, like, I guess it really depends.
We are talking about.
Oh yeah. And I mean, there'll be new technology. There'll be the latest and greatest, and it'll cost a butt ton of money. And
Yeah.
Also, we
I'm
are
not
talking
saying
about
it
a
can't be
future.
expensive, but I'm just saying, like, the technology and the fusion of those 3 different things is happening right now in the real world. So to me, there's no reason why we shouldn't have those in the game 1,000 years from now.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
right now,
Fusion
we're talking about a
technology.
game that's set in the year 2951, where space travel
I'm
is
not
like
doing maths. I'm just spouting numbers, damn it.
sorry, 2951. Where you have where you have
what is
spaceships are essentially just cars. Anyone can get a spaceship. Anyone can fly from one planet or moon or a star
well,
system.
I should note there was a lore post. Again, assuming all the lore posts are relatively consistent, and obviously stuff changes as the game technology changes. But there was a lore post I remember from I want to say a year and a half ago, somewhere around there, where someone was like, "Yeah, I've always wanted to explore and get out there, find something new, find something no one's ever found before." And so this person was talking about like they saved up for like a decade or so, and they finally bought this nice, lightly used Aurora. And I was just kind of like, "Huh?" Because it's like, we think of the Aurora, it's this garbage ship, you get away from that as soon as possible kind of thing. But not, I would say for your average citizen,
Average person,
probably does not, or average person in the UEE probably does not have a ship. Now, a family might have, if we're talking like your parents, you've got like
A
5
worship.
siblings and your grandparents, and maybe if you include your aunts and uncles and any cousins in there might be like 1 or 2 ships in that family unit.
Well, and the
But,
vast
like, for
majority of them wouldn't
individual-
have like a jump drive or anything either, right? Like, what's the point?
Well, I mean, it depends,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just for most
True,
people,
that's
they aren't going to need one because most people are not traveling too much, and if they are, they're going to be traveling through services. They're going to be going and just going, hey, I'm going from this one planet to the other, or I'm working for this company who will provide me transport. Most people, except for your mercenaries, your cargo runners, generally don't need an individual spaceship. You're still going to have people who have one, just because also too, it's a very good thing to be able to say, hey, the Vandu are coming. Well, instead of waiting for the evac ships, I can go, all right, everyone, get in the Constellation, and we're getting the fuck out of here.
Right.
You got 5 minutes to pack. I don't need to wait for anyone else. I'm fucking out of here. So having the mobility would definitely be a good thing. But
what I'm saying is that you're in the
already
future.
on record as saying that they expect people to play within a planetary system. In other words, like most people are going to play within, say, Stanton, in the Stanton system. But like if you're over by New Babbage, you're going to play around New Babbage and the moons around it, and it'll be unusual for you to be transiting across the system all the time, unless you're doing those very
it's not going to be
specific
something
things
you're
that you talk
doing
about.
every single day or anything like that.
Yeah, unless you're doing like a courier or that long haul truck.
Yeah, or like long cargo hauls or.
Yep.
Or like some
And also
trading.
too, one thing I'm
mainly.
definitely looking forward to are like they've teased it several times before, cargo missions. Everything from just, hey, we want you to move these 500 SCU of whatever the fuck from this point to this point, but also two things like, hey, I'm moving all this stuff around with my 2, 3, 4, however the fuck many cargo ships. I want to hire some escorts. Whoa, no problem. Well, pay looks good. Sweet, I'll sign on. Okay, we're leaving in 30 minutes. Sounds like a plan.
Essentially, one mission spawns several other missions.
Yeah. So it's like I can't wait to see those kinds of like bounty boards of, you know, hey, I want to hire you to do this. Oh, hey, because I'm doing that, I want to hire you to do this. You know, things like, hey, we've got a group of people out at this mining site. Can someone take a refining ship once, you know, the in-game ship refineries are there? Can someone bring a refining ship over so you can go and refine all our stuff in place here? And we'll either give you a part of the refined ore as payment for you to keep, or we'll pay you a lump sum or something.
Yep. Variety, spice of life.
And death.
Spicy. Yeah, I think I like to think of it as kind of like how people owned cars back in the like 30s and 40s. It was still considered somewhat rare to see. I mean, you went into bigger cities and there were more vehicles, but out in the rural countryside, it was a big deal to have a car.
Yeah, it was like you would have one in the entire family unit at most.
Or maybe the family owned like 3 of them, but that's because, you know, one was the car and the other 2 were like farming trucks that specifically used on the farm.
Yeah, so stuff like that. That's kind of how I see ship ownership working for like the NPCs. Because obviously all the players will have a ship. But
That's
for NPCs,
exactly that's the
kinda
thing
how
is
it
you guys
works.
are going way like I was talking about for the player.
Well, I mean,
the
for
player is
players,
going to have a ship.
For players, we're all going to have individual ships.
Exactly,
of course,
that's my
because when you
point.
get
It's
the
like
game,
we're talking
you
about a future where we all have spaceships and are just able to travel wherever we essentially, for lack of better term, wherever we want.
The players are.
The Auroras all have jump drives, so we can literally travel wherever we want. Granted, there's a small jump point. There are going to be varying in size jump points. Unless they change that.
Well, I guarantee too. Once you have some of the larger ships out there, I guarantee you'll have stuff where it's like, hey, if there are limitations, like, hey, you're Aurora, you can't pass through that large jump point, but you would be able to say, hey, Mr. Carrick, there, can I go and rent your hangar space here for your jump from this point to this point? Oh yeah, sure. You know, thanks for that. You know, 10,000 credits, and you go and land in there, and then, you know, hey, welcome on board. Here's the galley in the mess. We'll head out in 20 minutes. We head out. Okay, we made it through. All right, bye. Have a nice life.
Right. What I was saying is that in a future
or also what I'd like to see is there's actual in-game ship cargo, like ships specifically designed just to haul those smaller ships in mass through that wormhole, because
that
we can't have, you know, you otherwise you're going to have a line of thousands of ships waiting to go through individually, one at a time. I don't know, 5 at a time.
Well, I would say a ship just to haul other ships through wormholes, I would say probably wouldn't fly.
Well, I mean,
just because it would be
I'm saying like, okay, there's a regular hauler that goes from Stanton system to, you know, to Terra system. It can carry 200 small ships. It flies every Saturday. You know, if you want to go from Stanton to Terra, you can book your Aurora onto that ship, and you show up. And you go.
I gotcha. I think I want to say that they had talked about using the larger hull series ships for that, and that essentially the ship would be because they're not going to be pocket carriers. They said, or at least last they talked about it, they said they're probably not going to have them be pocket carriers. Like, unleash my swarm of Auroras, you know, none of that.
No, think more like
a packed into like a shipping container kind of thing, and then shipped as just cargo.
Think this way. You know the ferry. You know how if you take the ferry to to Staten Island, you can have the car on. Yeah, so it's something like that. It's gonna be like a ferry that can have cars on it.
Exactly.
except the
I
cars
think
are
that was what
spaceships,
they kind
and
of
the
talked
ferry
about.
is a spaceship.
So that way you can go and it's like, hey, I've
Damn,
got my
now you're
ship way
cutting off
over here.
Mando.
It's fine. It's fine. I was done.
But that's essentially, it's like, hey, I've got my ship way over there. I want to have it brought over here when I'm halfway across the universe. I don't want to go and go over there, get in my ship, bring it back over here. You can just go and pay a shipping service. Hey,
Oh, yeah.
can you, here's the authorization. Please pick up my ship here, drop it off here.
Yeah.
We
Boom,
already
there you
know.
go. You pay a fee, you wait a time, and there you go.
Right, and we already know that there's going to be like shuttling services and stuff because at every major spaceport, they always have a section that's not finished in the spaceport, which is the interplanetary and interstellar. Literally two separate hallways that go to either interstellar or interplanetary shuttle. I can't say shuttle base, but like essentially airport terminals, but for interplanetary or interstellar space travel.
Yeah.
And obviously, that would probably come in when we have better, obviously, multiple star systems, better AI behavior, probably the quantum simulation tech, and hopefully the Genesis Starliner, given that that's really the entire point of that ship. But my point about, like, we live in, this is a future where we have spaceships and all that, is yes, the player has a spaceship, and this is regular thing, whereas modern day spaceships, let's be honest, modern day spaceships, best we have right now is SpaceX's reusable rockets, and it's not really a spaceship quite yet.
There's no like reusable shuttles essentially.
Right, nothing like we have in Star Citizen. And my point to that was, if we're in a future where all the kind of tech that we have today, that's like high tech or just not even conceivable
Cutting edge
concept, cutting edge stuff is just normal in this universe, why can't we have like infrareds are probably just standard for various military helmets, like the Orc Mark 10 helmet, the Marine helmet probably has built-in infrared and night vision modes.
Yeah, I had when I was in the military right before I retired, there was a new set of goggles that I got to use. That were it was a MVG goggle that had just a tiny little adapter that was added onto the NVG portion that now gave me a thermal outline around anything that gave a heat signature. So it's like you're looking at an MVG screen with just a trace outline around anything with heat. And I mean, I was blown away. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And everyone's like, yeah, we're working on it. It's like the latest thing.
Oh, maybe what they can do for gameplay and stuff lore-wise too is that every helmet has like a basic night vision.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, why doesn't the game have this as just basic common level stuff?
No, it should. I agree. It totally should. I'm saying that yeah, you go.
Can I finish? What I'm saying is we should have it as a base level thing, but, and this is where you guys keep jumping on me, what they've been saying from CIG is they don't like the gameplay that would bring. So that's the problem. It's not a problem of whether we can have the tech. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, what gameplay would that be? Like, essentially, you're just in a dark environment. Just go to night vision. That's like if you're in a cave.
Environment to be an experience.
They want you running on the flashlight as opposed to night vision.
Yes, exactly.
Because if you have night vision, it'd be like playing in dark environments just with a green sun. I mean, there would be no differentiation between night and day on the planet. And they put a lot of work into making the day-night cycle engaging as far as gameplay goes. So I understand their perspective, their point on.
Yeah. Not only that, but you can also see a target like hundreds, a mile away because you got a thermal image on them. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's okay. I was going to say that maybe there's some ways they could work around that and make it engaging, but we're not going to see the kind of technology that modern military has right now because there's no disadvantage to running it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I I for one am all for like, let's have the variety of, you know, you need if you're going to have the thermal or the NVG, then maybe you need a power source that runs out, or you need to keep, you need to keep putting batteries into it, that kind of a thing. Or
You know,
maybe you have armors that are of a stealth technology that don't reflect an IR signature.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, just that variety, I'm okay with, but I don't think they're willing to go down that road yet because it's not important enough for them to get into right now.
Hmm.
So I think it's all long-term stuff. I'm done. Nothing?
No, sorry. Been distracted all day. Moving on though, we got ISC. Back to ISC. We got the sprint report, and they showed off some more hospital works. Showed off the more white boxing, right? Showed off one of the hospital rooms that you can see right now. They showed some hacking port designs, floor and wall designs for hacking ports, which I thought was pretty cool. Obviously, for gameplay purposes, they make it hacking thing, but it also makes sense lore-wise. Like if you're a systems manager, you have to look for, you need to access the, you need a port to access all these systems, right? So same thing, except you're using this port for evil or just different purposes than someone who's supposed to be accessing it. I thought maybe they can probably change the color, but I mean, works. Like, you have the image where it's actually in a giant terminal like the one at Area, and it doesn't look bad. They showed off some new crypto keys as well. They also showed off some flora, fauna for the moons and planets system. Then they showed off geo models for the rocks. So these rocks would be using some new tech for the rocks, so this way they don't stand out in the environment, but actually match the environment. But it's not like, oh, you have the like when you go to Daymar sometimes and you go around the caves. Some of the rocks around the caves, like the cave itself, doesn't quite match the environment. Rocks are surrounding it. You know what I mean? So
Maybe.
I guess it's like a way to change that. Stand out so abruptly. Looks more see as part of the environment. They also continued Drake Vulture, still in the white box phase.
Give me.
Salvage first, but concepting continues for Drake's new HUD, reminiscent of old Russian helicopters. Oh.
Wait, what?
We're getting a new the ship HUDs for Drake, the Drake interplanetary HUDs. We've seen them before.
Oh God.
They're very reminiscent of Russian helicopter HUDs.
I hope not.
Well, I mean, it's on the screen right now.
So. That's exactly what people said as soon as they got in the Drake.
Yeah. I hope not.
I mean, is that what you're showing right now?
Yeah.
Is that the specific one?
Yep.
Okay.
This is the Drake HUD. I like it. I don't think it's
I wouldn't
horrible.
call that Russian helicopter.
I don't know why they say Russian helicopter. I mean,
that's what they said. So
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm reading off a list here.
I just don't like the information that they're showing on the left and the right of that. Like in the mid-level.
It's just a different.
Yeah.
Skin.
I just don't like where that information is placed. I wish that in the middle of your view right there.
Yeah, it should be either it should be in the top left corner.
That should be moved up or down. And it looks like you already have stuff on the bottom, so move that up.
I was gonna say, yeah, you already have stuff on the bottom, so move it up precisely. But aside from that, it looks fine. Really, like aside from like a few extra lines, it's really in terms of function. Like it's not gonna.
Looks like they just went angular instead of
Right.
curved.
But yeah, I agree that the middle sections here. They also talked about IAE, the Galactic Aerospace Expo, and showed off the potential logos and the color scheme. So obviously, it's going to be taking. I think it's taking place on Crusader this year. Yeah, it's taking place on all the logo of clouds. 15 different logos. We're not going to use all of them.
You'll have to pardon me, but this is just my own personal opinion. This kind of stuff doesn't rate telling us about on a live broadcast. Like this is the kind of stuff I would expect to find
it definitely feels
on
like
their webpage.
It definitely feels like they're kind of grasping for straws here, but it's probably because of their build up to.
They've flat out said that is what they're doing to us. But I'm just like, I'm at that point where it's like, this. Why even bother? Like, why even bother tuning in on Thursday and Friday if this is the kind of stuff that you guys are going to provide? Like,
honestly, I've been skipping the Friday videos most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, again, up until recently, I was watching, which I've been relying on you guys for it. This week, I decided to watch them because
you picked a bad week.
Yeah. Well, not so much for the Star Citizen Live.
Well, I mean, it's good that you liked it. Like I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
It was a good.
But as far as the level of information provided,
oh yeah, no,
these
it wasn't.
last like several weeks have just been really bad shows.
Yeah. Again, I'm not saying the ISC was. It had okay things. As I said, like half of the entire show is the origin story thing for the editing guy. And then they do a sprint report showing off, the hospital stuff, which we saw last week, and the hacking stuff, which was really the only real cool new information we got, along with the mix system for flora and fauna.
This show that you're reviewing, this is what your $3 million of what you call it, subscriber funding is providing, is that show right there.
Don't forget the Avenger Titan skins.
But yeah, they also showed off the atmospheric pressure damage for Crusader, how it gets more work for ships and people. So this way, when falling foot
or into water, because eventually we'll
and water as well,
there, you can be crushed to death.
Yeah, so I think they did say that that's going to be applied for water. And they talked about concepts for walking on storm walls, the whales, in Crusader. Like, you'll be able to walk on them.
Honestly,
and have gameplay associated with them. I thought that was a really cool concept.
It reminds me if any of you guys have played Subnautica. There's a big creature on there called reefbacks, and you can have ore deposits and stuff on their backs and other resources. It reminded me very similarly of that. I just wonder though, how can you park your ship on there?
I don't know. I guess you have to fly alongside the whale, and then the pilot would just have to keep a steady course while you jump off, I guess.
Yeah,
long term you probably will, but short term, if you can't land on an asteroid, I wouldn't try landing on that.
I will say this though, look how large, at least in this concept art, how large this whale is compared to Starfarer.
Is that a Starfarer, or is
that a Starfarer? That is a Starfarer.
Damn.
That's not the Vulcan?
I know. At first I'm like, oh, it looks like a Vulcan, but it's not. It's a Starfarer.
Okay.
Damn. The
Very,
Vulcan
very
is not
large.
on the roadmap yet, correct?
What, the storm walls?
No,
the Vulcan. Yeah, as far as I know, it's not.
It's not. No.
Only the Vulture. But I'll
And
take
the
the Vulture.
Redeemer is. That's why I was like, is it? No, because they're both very much beloved Aegis shit. And next up we got Star Citizen Live, which again I did think was good. It didn't have any information unless you're a lore geek, then it was cool. But if you aren't, then it's a little disappointing. Pretty much they talked about the gangs of Pyro. They described how one of the gangs is going to be like a brain fried cultist. Like they believe that the sun is a god, and they will burn themselves and stuff. It's kind of reminded me of Children of the Atom from Fallout. That's pretty much it. It's like got some cool gang designs, or for the game, Pyro Star System.
I just want to see a different artist. I like Jay Lee, but I want to show me some of the European artists and their concepts.
I wonder if they're probably busy working on Squadron, maybe. Like maybe that's why we haven't seen it, or rather, seen like videos with them talking about.
I didn't ask what's happening. I said, "This is what I want."
What?
I said, I didn't ask what is happening. I said,
no, I know if you want. I'm just trying to say, like, I'm trying to think, like, why aren't we getting it? Why are we only seeing person?
Don't ask questions.
And again, this was a lot. Like, I didn't even watch all of it. I got up to after the 8-minute mark. I kind of started skipping ahead, just because at that point they're not really talking about anything. There's so much as much as they are doing the art and Jared.
Which is what they do every single time they pair it up together.
Exactly. Like you literally see the Jared mocap on the left hand side there. So it's like again, yeah, it's fun, but I was looking for something more than just fun. I was looking for some information along with the.
We don't do information.
Well, crap.
What is this information you talking of?
Yeah, like we're here to make a game. We're not here to tell you about it.
I am here to lead, not to read.
I mean, for all the BS and bullshittery that we're doing right now, if you look at almost any other company that's making games, then CIG is doing an amazing job in their information sharing.
Right.
So
they are. I want them to continue doing so.
Comparatively.
Right. I'm not saying they aren't. I want them to continue doing so and further.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not enough for you guys, hey?
Never enough. More.
I was gonna say it's never enough.
I'll fine. Say that again. Like, if you can pitch your voice a little higher, you sound like a child. More.
Yeah, I've been hearing some of the stuff that's going on with what is it? FDev, I think it is.
The what?
It's behind FDev, which I believe is behind the Elite Dangerous.
Oh,
Frontier Development, yeah.
Yeah, and the way that they are communicating is just driving people away. Because essentially they're.
You mean the lack of communication?
Yeah. And not only that, but just like not even coming out and saying, hey, we heard what's going on and here's what we're gonna do. It's like they're just not even acknowledging that that's happening and just kind of driving on with like, here's what we're gonna do, and people are going, that's great. We don't actually care about that, but like I said, things are that They're helping CIG look good.
Yeah, well, everyone is. It's not that. Unfortunately, it's not. I don't want. This isn't a crack against CIG. This is a crack against everyone else. That being that, it's not hard to make CIG look.
Okay. So back when I was in the service, I had a good friend of mine, and we were having discussions about kind of what was going on in the world and who the major players were that were involved in Afghanistan and Iraq. And we were talking about special warfare, and my friend happened to be part of the special warfare community. And just after several comments, he basically turned to me, he goes, to be honest, it's not that we're that much better. It's that everyone else is that much worse. And it caught me off guard. And I was like, wow, okay. This is our special forces saying this.
I mean, honestly,
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I fully support that idea. And I will say though, at least with the U.S. military, what I think makes it so good is one, our logistical support, which honestly is second to none.
Yeah.
We can get pretty much any supplies we need anywhere. Unless you're talking like real huge like complete special order bullshit, we can get almost anything anywhere within about 24 hours.
But most other countries, like, guys are walking around without ammunition in their weapons because they can't afford it. Like, we can afford to not only have ammo in the guns, but we got a couple cases at the fob.
We can afford to throw ammo away simply because. Fuck it. It's we want to keep our people alive. Fuck it. Throw ammo at it.
Yeah, let's train.
Keep our guys alive. Hell, throw that $20,000 bomb at the target there. If there's a chance it's going to go and keep some of our infantry guys alive. Fuck it. Do it.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but we also train. Like, guys go to the ranges and shoot. Whereas you'd be amazed how many foreign countries, guys get like 1 week of shooting,
and that's it.
And then 4 years later, they're still walking around with the same gun, and they've never fired it.
Yeah, because they don't have the ammo to.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, moving on. Unless you guys have anything. No, I agree. Mentioning, but back to the news we got. Cam, you sent me Elden Ring feature special class for reduced difficulty.
It's a meme, but you can show the.
I have it on screen right now. Is this actual true, or is this?
Okay, so let me read it off. So it has been confirmed early this morning that FromSoft's much anticipated Elden Ring game, spiritual successor to the award-winning Dark Souls series, will have a built-in easy mode in the form of a special class for the players with less patience to put the time into mastering the game's mechanics. Unfortunately, this news has been met with some unsurprising controversy, particularly among the diehard fans of the series, which is renowned for its brutal difficulty. This mode, so-called easy mode class, is called the Journalist and can be chosen during character creation at the start of the game. Selecting this class will cause the game to instantly crash and then erase itself from the hard drive. When asked for why he chose to include this feature, Miyazaki replied, "My games have always had an easy mode. It's called Get Good, You Fucking Casuals." Obviously, this is a meme. It's not real, but I at least found that pretty hilarious. In line of Dark Souls and its style of games, which have always been pretty brutal in terms of their combat learning curve for the mechanics, that kind of stuff.
Well, isn't the whole point of Dark Souls, like the Dark Souls series gameplay, is that you die a lot, but you learn from each death. Like, that's the part of the gameplay loop.
That's the intent.
Maybe for somebody who's bad at the game.
that being
I've never
said,
played. I don't know. I just
that being said, at least for me, because I've played Dark Souls 3, which apparently is supposed to be the easiest one of the games, and I would say I got about 75% of the way through it solo, and then one of my friends was like, "What do you mean you haven't beaten it yet?" they jumped in my game and just speed ran the whole rest of the game with me, because they were just that good at it. But for me, it's more of a, you don't win, you just lose a little less each time. But
So in
it-
other
You're
words,
right,
I
though,
can
like a
definitely
lot of the
see-
bosses rely on you playing it a couple times before you understand everything.
right.
Yeah, you got
So-
to
so then
learn their
I'm-
attack
so-
patterns, learn their mechanics, and they're like, okay, I've got most of the pieces together here. Let me put it in practice. Okay, now you've beaten that boss. Now you can move
Unless
on.
unless you understand the mechanics of the game. Like if you played the game a lot, you might be able to, but if it's your first time coming into the game, you're definitely not going to.
Yeah. If it's your first time,
Gotcha.
that's kind of the intent, is that you have to be patient. You have to learn, not just go. It's like a lot of games nowadays. It's just just keep pew-pewing at shit, running through it like an idiot, and eventually you'll make it through.
So you're saying you can't Call of Duty yet?
Exactly. See, in
Crack out
for
the
those who
M16.
don't know, Call of Duty has always been in the Marvel universe. You're just playing as Wolverine in every war.
I mean,
With
a little
grenades.
bit. All right. So moving on though from the Dark Souls meme, we have actual news, and that is Fortnite copies Among Us new imposters mode. So Fortnite copies yet another game. Because for anyone who doesn't know, the reason Fortnite's so popular is because Battle Royale, which it copied from PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And now they do it again with...
Which comes out Arma.
Yeah, but the question I guess I have is, I think the issue is more so with the imposter mode, because that's like a common Among Us thing, right? I'm pretty sure.
Sounds
Yeah.
kind of sus.
No, it's
And so,
literally...
so
it's
for
literally the
me, I
exact...
don't think them making the game mode like that, because there's so many games before Among Us that did that. I've played games before Among Us came out.
No, it's totally nothing.
So,
Among Us isn't the first to do
yeah,
this sort
it's
of
just-
thing. It's just that it's the popular one.
Mhm.
And now, so they copied the game mode. It's literally, the map is identical. The layout and everything is very much similar to Among Us.
Oh, really?
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm in
it's
high
pretty much like a
school
straight up. It's a straight up knockoff. And so that was the news of like what was it, August 17th. A day later, the devs respond. The Among Us devs, they are not happy.
Surprise.
Yeah, right. So because they literally just
Look,
ripped
we were
off
all
their
for it
game.
when they were ripping off other people, but when they ripped off us, that's where we draw the line.
Well, here's the thing: is Among Us, whether you like it or not, it is still an indie game,
Don't steal. The government hates competition.
and you're having and with Fortnite, you have a multi-billion-dollar company backed by China, and totally isn't Chinese spyware. You have Epic Games stealing essentially from indie devs, just further monetize their own, capitalize off the work of others. Essentially. And their whole and the reason this whole thing happened is because of the lawsuit that the antitrust lawsuit they have going against Apple and Google right now. It's all about how Epic is for the little man, and yeah, you and I covered this.
Yeah.
And how silly it is.
If the little man, you mean Epic Games and all of their
because
owners.
it's all they're doing that whole lawsuit for control, money, power over that market.
Well, I mean, it's literally the lawsuit at its end boils down to, we want to use your service without paying for it, for Apple's App Store. That's literally what it boils down to. They're trying to breach
Well,
their,
it's not
their
without
agreement
paying
in
for it.
terms of service.
Well, it's not without paying for it, because you wouldn't be paying. It's that the revenue you make using their platform, they take a cut. Like YouTube does this, Steam does this.
That's how
Epic Games themselves do
how
it.
they pay for it.
Right.
That is where the revenue. That is the payment offered. Like, as far as I'm aware, they don't have any other, or at least that would be part of the payment.
No, but I
I
wanted to clarify, because they're not, Epic Games isn't paying Apple to have it on the platform. What they do is that Apple takes revenue from
exactly.
Yeah.
Apple's just like, hey, you can have your app on here, but if you want to have purchases there, if you want to make money from it, you have to
We
give
get
us
a
a cut
cut.
of that because we're giving you the platform to distribute. Which
And
honestly, that makes
you know what's
that's
rich
perfectly
about
legitimate.
it is Epic Games takes a what was it like 12%, 15%, I think, somewhere around there for
It's about
games on
greed.
for their platform
Yeah.
too. Yeah, oh, I haven't said it's about money and power over that market. Like they want power over
I-
the mobile and the app
I
distribution
do-
market.
I might point
I'm
out
only
this, and I
getting
support your idea more.
28%.
I do
I want
believe
30.
that
Guys, one at a time.
Epic Games actually has the lowest cost for any I guess store for games
Leader, yeah.
for developers.
Yeah, no, I know.
True,
I'm
but
just
that
saying
doesn't
that
make
they
them a good guy.
that's
that
what I'm
doesn't
saying.
make them a good guy.
It's
but I would say in a sense they are backed up by actions in a sense, I guess.
one action, but it's that's
Yeah.
what I was trying to say. It's like what? It's 12 or 15%, right? That's what they take, something around there.
I'm not exactly sure the
I
amount.
don't remember, but it's lower than 30%, which everyone else does. You know, and specifically Apple in this case. But here's the thing: is they want it so that they don't have to pay quote unquote pay
Yeah,
Apple
which is just ridiculous.
at all to use their platform when it's not like they're going to be changing it on their own platform, on Epic Games Store's own platform.
No, absolutely not.
Where it's like, oh no, you don't have to. We don't have to take any revenue cuts for people to use our platform. No, they're still going to do it. So it's hypocritical. It's just a power play as well. It's about money and it's about a power play so they can control that market.
Yep.
But the story here with Among Us is the reason why I mentioned the lawsuits because they're all about we're fighting for the little guy type stuff bullshit there, and here you're literally stealing from the little guy. Whether you like Among Us or not, whether you've played it or not, it is still an indie game. It was made by like guys or something like that. I don't know. It's not backed by multi-billion-dollar corporations like Epic Games or Apple or EA or whatever. This is a game that just a few guys made.
Are you
And
talking about
you're-
PUBG?
No,
Original?
No,
Oh,
Among
okay.
Us. Among Us. And now they're stealing this game. It's like if you're so adamant about, because that's the thing. Is they always told themselves to be the defender of the little guy, and now you're stealing from the little. So that's why
surprising.
everyone's blowing up about the Epic game, Fortnite stealing.
I don't know. I don't think that I would consider it stealing per se.
Yeah,
Well, I
like I
mean, is
said,
it
Developers
illegal?
who made Among Us are using the store, the Unreal store, to sell their game. So I don't know. I mean, if you don't want to pay whatever they're asking for that, then don't use the store. Make your own.
Well, even
platform.
still, though, there's a difference between, hey, I'm using your distribution platform, and the company that owns that distribution platform going, hey, that's a nice product you got there. Would be a shame if we copied it a few times. And you going, hey, well, wait a minute. This wasn't in the terms of the agreement here. What the hell?
yeah, but the thing is,
We don't know.
like,
the
if
terms
you
of
want to
agreement.
say, I mean, okay. Are
I
you
thought
mad
that-
about
I'm
it
not
because
saying
it's
it's that
epic, or are
black
you
and
mad
white.
about it because they copied?
I'm not.
Because there's
I'm not
many
mad.
other instances where game. No, I guess not mad. Or is it an issue because they're epic, or is it an issue because they copied? Because if you look, Fortnite is a battle royale. There were multiple battle royales. So do we want to say Fortnite's
Oh yeah, well, I
a
mean,
copy of other battle royales?
PUBG was really
know what
one
I
of
mean?
the first in the modern iteration of the battle royale style of games.
Well, and then
And
even
as
if you,
people like,
you
oh,
want to
shit,
argue
they're
that, you could say
popular.
H1Z1 was before that.
Yeah.
Oh sure. But even still, there's a bit of a difference between just, hey, that's an interesting idea, let's do our own version of it, and hey, we're the parent company hosting this content. We're gonna go and do our own thing without even an acknowledgement. And it's like it's if it was something more, shall we say, generic, that'd be one thing. But the the idea has been around for a very long time. I mean, there's been pen and paper games.
Look, Battle
that have this
Royale.
kind of thing of, oh, someone in the team is a traitor, and maybe someone is, maybe someone isn't. Yeah, but that idea has been around for a while. But I don't want to necessarily say blatantly copy, but to essentially just go and copy something like that without even an acknowledgement or even a, hey, by the way, to a company that you're affiliated with, at the very least, it looks a little funny.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's all I'll say is it's like, without even a how do you do to hey, I mean, even just a, hey, by the way, you guys are making a product of this genre. By the way, we're putting out a product that is going to directly go and compete against your product. Here's a month heads up. Here's a day.
Okay, so here's another question I have then. Is it a limited time mode, or is it something that's permanent within the game?
What, the Among Us, the imposters mode, and
yeah, because then
I think
that's where
as
I
far
would
as I'm
say
aware,
if it's a permanent thing, then yeah, I would say it's a bit much.
Well, let's read the story, shall we? So pretty much the story is they, Epic Games launched Fortnite's Imposters yesterday. Yesterday, August 17th, but today's August 30th. Anyway, they launched a Fortnite Imposters game mode, which is a copy of Among Us. Uses the same, a very similar map, almost identical. Save like an extra door that goes into. And the studio that created Among Us, Sloth, was not. They didn't collaborate with them. They didn't consult with them. They just took their idea, or copied their game, I should say. And so the Inner Sloth community director commented saying it would have been really, really cool to collab. Like game mechanics, fine, those shouldn't be gate kept, but at the very least, 7 different themes or terminology makes things more interesting. Like, essentially, they're trying to say, like, okay, look, we wanted, like, we would have loved to actually work with you.
To us, we would have been happy to help you.
Exactly, but that would mean that they'd have
and
to
the fact that you didn't. Then that's really what I'm saying is that's like, you've got these guys, they made this thing from the ground up, and you didn't even reach out to them. You didn't even give them so much of a, by the way. Here it's like, oh, here's our version. Woo, go us. And you're like,
so,
wait a minute.
Gary Porter, a developer for Among Us, also pointed out the similarities between Fortnite uses and Among Us. It's okay, though. They flipped electrical and medbay and connected security to the cafeteria, he joked. Like, saying they made minor changes to the.
Yeah, I mean, and literally, if the major changes between the two maps are 2 rooms flipped and a couple of different pathways, like, that's at that point, honestly, you could probably try to sue, again, being that they're based in China, any lawsuit is going to fall flat pretty much. But, at that point, that's pretty fucking blatant intellectual property theft. And I'm pretty sure that their contract for the distribution did not include, by the way, we can use any of your shit whenever we feel like it. I would imagine. I don't know specifically, but.
So, Caleb Underwood, another developer on Among Us, tweeted and deleted what he referred to as spicy tweets for inviting the other game makers to collaborate with Among Us. Instead, Kotaku also spotted that Adriel Wallach, a programmer at InnerSloth, that makes, also shared a comic about the theft art online, which not here, but you also have this saying, "We didn't patent the Among Us mechanics. I don't think that leads to a healthy game industry. It is, but is it really that hard to put 10% more effort into putting your own spin on it?" Yeah, you can, because how many, Doom clones and stuff, like clones of certain games is nothing new, but they usually do their own spin. Like, take Splitgate. Splitgate is very much I played it recently, the release version of it, and it's very much like a Halo, Call of Duty, FPS kind of shooter, but with portal mechanics. So it's like, okay, take away the portal mechanics, and it's just a knockoff Halo game. But because it has that portal mechanics in it, it gives it its own unique spin and makes it an interesting game, and makes for completely new type of gameplay. They don't even try so there's a new take on the FPS genre right there. Your typical multiplayer shooter with Portal. Here you don't get any of that. You don't get that interesting new take. It's just an Among Us in a game that's full of clones. And I think the main problem is that they didn't. It's not even so much that they're copying it; it's that they're almost one for one copying it. And they're like, "Hey, we would have loved to have worked on it," but now Innersloth co-founder Marcus Bromander said the company didn't patent Among. I read that. Epic's Imposters mode, Fortnite, has obviously taken the Among Us team by surprise, even if it's only a temporary mode. Oh, so it is a temporary mode in the game. The not-so-subtle hints at copying and art theft here come after small creators have accused Epic of stealing their work in the past. Epic has faced years of legal complaints related to emotes that the company copied from children and independent artists without paying them. Actually, I remember this because there's a story regarding what's the big name that does everything? Donald Glover, right? He can do he sings and stuff.
Cookie Monster.
What?
Cookie Monster. He's a star.
Well, I think Donald Glover was even he had one of his dances put in Fortnite, but it wasn't okay with him. It wasn't run by him. It was just he just did it. Epic's choice to copy Among Us also comes just months after the company's bitter legal battle with Apple, a legal fight that Epic CEO Tim Sweeney has described as about basic freedoms of all consumers and developers. It's not a great look if Epic is fighting for small developers in one sense, but undermining them. It's pretty much it's a temporary mode, so it's not permanent mode Fortnite, but temporary one. But it's still not really cool. But it doesn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise anyone. Fortnite in its entirety is pretty much a copy of other games, not inspired by other games, but a copy of other. And hell, even the original, the PUBGs and whatever, all of these different battle royale games. I'm surprised that Battle Royale, the actual franchise Battle Royale, isn't suing any of these for using their name. Because Battle Royale is an actual thing. The Japanese, it's pretty much it's what inspired the Hunger Games. You have a bunch of kids on an island trying to kill each other. Not exactly great, but still exists. But still on the topic of China-related things, China bans minors from playing games during the week. So
I just heard about this, and also they're going to require them to.
Today. At least this story kind of broke. So it's not a new story, but we got more details today. Pretty much, according to the paper, according to Wall Street Journal, new rules would prohibit children from entirely from Monday through Thursday, with Friday through Sunday public holidays seeing a limit of 1 hour of game a day between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. And this is after, I think, Tencent already implemented a facial recognition software for children using the Chinese government's database of citizens to essentially see who's playing and then lock them out if they're a child.
And also, it's going to require them to log in using their real name.
Right.
Ooh.
In other words, I feel bad for the people in China.
Also, too, what I don't know how they're going to plan to implement it, but if your online accounts would require you to use your real name as your username. I don't know that that's necessarily the case here. That might not be the case, but that would be pretty. Ugh.
Well,
I think it would more
at the
so
very
be
least,
like,
sign-ins.
so I know, so Tencent owns Riot Games, right? Which is the developer of League of Legends.
And
So to make a League of Legends account in Korea, it already requires you to use a Korean ID. So I think it would be something along those lines.
Gotcha.
So, like, to make an account using something, you'd probably have to sign in with your ID, and then they could track that account, right?
Yeah, I mean, they could just have it where it's like, you know, a sign-in thing that's separate from your handle in the game. But
that's the thing that I heard people talking about with this story is they're like, that's the mystery, is nobody knows how they're actually going to enforce it.
the fact that this is what they're trying to enforce anyways is bad enough, but yeah, then you have that mystery layer to it. How are they enforcing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, the new rules are the latest in a series of measures that China and Chinese gaming companies have adopted around minors' gaming habits. In 2019, the State Administration of Press and Publication tightened the rule that had allowed for 3 hours of gaming a day to a maximum of an hour and a half. Last year, limiting children's playtime was the motivation for rolling out new rules requiring players to log into games under their real names. Earlier this year, Tencent launched face recognition technology into its game to prevent children from playing games at 10 p.m. and 8. Yeah, it just sucks.
I'm going to bail out here, guys. I'll see you next week, though.
Don't die.
Good talk. Ciao.
Yeah. So, moving on though from the Chinese stuff to other corporate events, we've got Aliens Fireteam. So, Aliens Fireteam Elite finally released time last week, and it has reached number 1 in the.
We number 1.
I haven't played the game. I have playing the game. Doesn't really look very interesting. We covered that. We did like a trailer reaction when the trailers came out. How like very bright and colorful it was for an alien. Alien piece of. So, but yeah, it's reached number 1 in the UK. I wonder how well it's actually numbers though, because the game is still just Left 4 Dead or World War Z type game, where you just have endless hordes of zombies, aliens, xenomorphs coming at you. Next up, we also got trying to say like what Apple or Netflix?
Wait, did you say Half-Life?
No, Apple. Oh my god, can you imagine Half-Life news? I'd be ecstatic to cover. Half-Life 3 confirmed. Okay.
Yeah, really.
Hell, even if it's like another like a Half-Life Alyx 2 or something, or like Half-Life or just another Half-Life game.
Half-Life 1 remastered. Although honestly, they already
did that. It's called Black Mesa, and it's amazing. If you haven't played it, play it. It's awesome. What if like a Half-Life 2 remaster? That also exists, doesn't it?
No, I know there's some like mods to go and kind of push it, but there isn't anything that's like
there's no official like graphical update version.
Yeah, no.
Not that the graphics, honestly, the graphics for that game are not as
No, they aren't. They aren't too bad at all. That being said, though, we really need a Half-Life shooter as good as Half-Life Alyx was. I never played it myself, but everyone I heard who played it said it was really good.
Mhm.
I would love to see a non-VR Half-Life game again.
I would love to see exactly. Like I would almost say like give us Half-Life Alyx not in VR, but just you look
There's
at
a
that
mod
game.
for that.
No,
apparently.
you really can't though because a lot of that game is
yeah,
because it's in VR, and that's
Yeah.
good. Like you're playing if you're making a VR game, make full use of it being in
Yeah,
VR.
yeah. Don't just make it so it's like slapped on alongside, what regular players could do. Make it for VR.
Make it like
But
okay, here's
at
a
the same
reason to
point-
actually have VR and play this game. But
Yeah.
I would love again, yeah, I'd love to see just it doesn't even need to be a Half-Life 3 or I just want to see some more. Half-Life's fun. It has a good universe, good story, funny,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
interesting.
gameplay is awesome.
Heck, if they wanted to go into
run, think, shoot,
uncharted
live.
territory without wrecking anything else, do a prequel to Half-Life 1.
Or maybe like an in between, like what Half-Life Alyx does, like another in between game, Half-Life 1
Yeah,
and 2.
show us what the hell Barney was doing.
Oh yeah, get to play. Imagine, Luke, we have Half-Life Blue Shift, right?
Yeah,
Where it's
exactly.
You're Barney
Show us
during
something that's
during
like
events.
Barney's story before Half-Life 2, or even after Half-Life 2, because we don't really know what's all going on there.
We do know that they got rid of the Half-Life 2 Episode 3 script because remember the Epistle 3 script, which was pretty much the script of like they retconned that with Half-Life Alyx. So,
which isn't surprising.
No, but honestly, it's because that script existed. We'd never be able to get a Half-Life 3 or Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Or that version of it.
Right.
That being said, I thought I remembered there was like a fan project, I want to say, of someone working in the engine to essentially follow that script and make it, but who knows what the status of that is.
How'd they get all the voice lines for Gordon?
Yeah, really. One thing I do want to say to just jump onto Star Citizen stuff. So for anyone, especially anyone new who is playing, probably heard some stuff about, we were talking about XenoThreat earlier. But I don't know especially if you're new to the Star Citizen game and you're kind of like, what do I do? At least right now, you're going to want to go, whatever server you're on, open up your MobileLast in F1, go to the missions tab, the contracts tab down at the bottom, one of the little icons down there. And if you have a mission under a priority tab there, when you're in the general tab up at the top, take that mission and then go to the location it specifies, because you will make a lot of money there. It's really fun. Because I saw some people going like, I don't even know what this is. What am I doing? What is anything? So just a high level, just, take the mission, go to the location, you'll earn lots of money, you maybe make some friends. Try not to friendly fire anyone.
Emphasis on the
because
try.
then you'll get a crime stat and everyone will attack you and it will be a bad time. Oh, also too, in other Star Citizen news, I don't know if you talked about this at all, but apparently, some new Evocati invites have gone out, apparently. Two,
Really?
and much more interesting,
Or what,
is a
315?
lot of just in general. I don't know that any build is actually out there. It just invites to the Evocati group.
Okay, so this way more people are becoming Evocati members.
Yes, but that being said, I think I heard somewhere around the range of 500 Evocati accounts were stripped of their Evocati status for being inactive, for not putting out.
Oh, just for not
bug
doing
reports.
anything for the last few.
Yeah, in other words, and there's all kinds of controversy in the forums and shit where people are like, how could they do this to me? Well, were you making reports? Were you putting out bugs? Or, well, no. Well, then why would they?
Why would they keep you around?
It's like, it's like Evocati, it's like, when we're talking like wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, that's one thing. But when we're talking about Evocati, like Evocati is very specifically under NDA agreement a early access to this stuff specifically for bug testing. It is it is literally a agreement between you and CIG to go and hey, we need people to go and test this one mission. Please do this mission as many times as you possibly can. You're not just there to go and fuck around with whatever other shit's here. You're there to go and test what they need you to test.
Right. Honestly, when you said that they removed a lot of, I thought like, oh crap, are these all the guys that have been leaking stuff?
No.
That was my first response, but no, that actually that makes sense.
The leaks guys are pretty good and pretty damn serious about maintaining people's confidentiality with that, which I am definitely happy for.
Yeah, honestly, when you said like, okay, they're just cleaning house and stuff like, and adding new people in, I like that because it means they're cycling new people in. And also they're not
paying
just
attention to it.
Yeah, it's exactly, they're paying attention to it. They're changing things up and making this way they can get more feedback and new feedback as well.
Yeah, but apparently some people are super pissed because, well, what do you mean that not having done anything with Avocado means I'll get kicked out of it?
Because it almost makes, because at that point you're kind of making it like a elitist type click where
absolutely. That's exactly
and I always hate that.
Like,
that's the thing. It shouldn't be like people should be swapped in and out of it all the freaking time to make it
or
the best
even,
quality it can
I would
be,
love
right?
too if you had similar to how we have the guide system and how you've got like, oh, here's the categories for that. It'd be cool if they went and did for like their what they call their strike teams for testing very specific things. If you could be like, hey, I would love to go and test cargo mechanics. I would love to go and test exploration mechanics, stuff like that. And then just on a random basis, you might be pulled in, hey, we're going and testing this stuff here just to go and get it out to a wider player base, just to kind of stress test it or see what kind of crazy hijinks you guys do. Here you go at it. So that'd be interesting if they did. I don't know that they ever would, but might be interesting.
Yeah, that's to me that's not good, or I mean, if anything, good news, but just cool. CIG update on
they're paying attention to it. They're keeping on top of it. Okay.
Like that's I don't see how that's like bad news at all. So like, people can overreact to it. That sure, do what you want, but it ain't bad.
The whole purpose of the Evocati branch is for people to be in the game testing and helping them figure out bugs and stuff. So if you're not active in doing that, then you don't need that spot anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, the entire point is that you are just one step up from the devs themselves testing it. They're going, hey, we need to get this out to a wider player base. But again, you're under NDA for that. You're testing very specific things in very specific circumstances. That's the point.
Yeah, it's not about playing the game and having fun. It's about playing the game and figuring out why things are broken or not working.
Exactly.
It's essentially like super PTU.
Beta testing the alpha.
Yeah. It's like a super version of the PTU. Like this is like the first build, or at least the first version of the build that they've made for testing. You are now that tester, making sure that this build, okay, what works, what doesn't work, how can they fix this, what, etc., stuff like that. And you're essentially making it, you're playing it and testing it so that it is in a playable state for the PTU, wave 1 of the PTU at that, and then it can funnel down the testing funnel through there. Eventually goes to wave 2 and wave 3 and live build. Again, there's a process, and if you're not being helpful in that process, then why there?
Or the lulz.
Oh, that reminds me. I do have, there is some Halo news. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, before yesterday's stream with the helmets that we looked at. So, 343, I guess we got this image of some of the helmets that are going to be in the first season Halo Infinite's Battle Pass. Obviously, the first season is going to be about Halo Reach, so you're going to have a lot of the Halo Reach helmets in there. Helmets screen right now, and it's So apparently, a lot of the helmets on here. Let me put it this way: the helmets that don't look like they should be in Halo, turns out they're not canon helmets. They're part of the Shinobi armor, which is like they have like non-canon and then canon armor for their armor customization.
Sure.
Okay. Because again, they're trying to copy Fortnite and all the popular free-to-play battle royale games, fly surface game. Gas. 343's got some gas now. But just, my opinion is, you got some of these helmets, like this one right here, the one on the left here. Yikes. The one on the right isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Then we got Scout, which, it's Scout helmet. These three here are not canon, so for those. Although I will say this, first time I looked at these, I instantly thought of, like, what if you had a sci-fi alternate take on World War II? This is like the type of gear that you'd, or maybe like a World War II-esque battle going on it like, again, not Halo, like another franchise. We then got these two ODST looking helmets. Obviously, well, ODST literally on the right here, and then I'm gonna call it Halo 2 ODST. It reminds me of the Halo 2 ODST helmet, but actually more resemblance to the Mark 5B that Double Six wears in Halo. Almost like a ODST Mark 5B. Got Soldier, this Abomination, Glorious Mark 5, and this new helmet that looks okay. We got this Shinobi helmet here, which, okay, whatever. Air Assault, Hat's helmet. A weird version of, I'm going to call this welding EOD. It looks like an EOD, but again, this is not, at least doesn't look like it can. We got Mark 7 default helmet. I don't know what this is called, but it was in the Halo Flight. And another Abomination. And we've got Azop, DQB, CQC, Scout. No, wait, not. Wait, this is. Oh, this is Halo Reach Scout. Halo 3 Scout and Halo Reach. I don't know what this is, but it's very reminiscent. Someone had way too much time on their hands making a samurai helmet here. Got Mark 6 prototype, another non-canon helmet, Wheels helmet, CQC. CQC twice. And EVA. Alright, now we got some cool helmets. Again, all the good helmets are the Halo Reach helmets that were Halo Reach, so like that being, there are some good helmets from a new original helmets at Halo Infinite, but for the most part, not a lot. Counting 3, 4, and one of them is ODST. The other one's the default helmet. So, but then again, Halo Infinite has gone on last. I'm just expecting the worst at this point. Like, I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than having, like, essentially kidding myself. Because again, we've been fooled how many times by 343? They've under-delivered with Halo 4 and Halo 5.
Honestly, the only good thing they've done was Master Chief Collection.
And
in that case, that was just a port of what they already did on the console. And I guess we could say they did it for the console, which was, okay,
yeah, but
cool,
the console launch was horrible. I bought it when it came out, and it was a mess. It was a glitchy mess. Matchmaking was broken. customization didn't exist. Like you can like choose what armor you want, but you couldn't customize the armor. And now we have like each individual game style of armor or each of the games in Halo 3's specifically with Halo 3 even further than the original. You didn't have any of that. It was very much bare bones. Just here's the base. Here's a minimum viable product working version of Halo CE Anniversary, 2 Anniversary, 3, and 4. Because ODST and Reach weren't added until later, and they charged you for it. Whereas now they're just part of, at least if you buy MCC for $40, it's part of the experience. Whereas they charged you $60 for all of it. 2014 first came out one. So yeah, if they didn't do that, like if they didn't have the original console launch and they just launched it, in 2019 as they did with PC, that was the first time we had MCC, it would have been a mess. It would have been horrible. It would have blasted it. Because of its failure from 2014, they were able to actually learn from it, and which is why MCC on PC is so great. But I don't have the same hope. Halo Infinite. The more I hear about it, the less enthusiastic I am. And I wasn't super enthusiastic to begin with.
Yeah.
It keeps sounding worse. And apparently, we didn't cover this last week, Dave, but apparently Halo Infinite is not only is it not launching with co-op and Forge, it is not launching with XP. So the only way to unlock stuff in game will be to do challenges.
Of course. Which again well, I mean, I can understand why, because hey, the longer we get you to grind out the game, the more likely you are to buy our microtransactions.
Pretty much, yeah. And that plus, the fact that they do sell XP boosters. I think for $1. I remember. Assuming 100 credits is $1, because if you look at the Halo Infinite flight, you can see that things are priced in hundreds. So $100 for a XP boost, $700 for a weapon skin pack. I think it was like $200 or something, or $800 for a helmet. So, and assuming that we go by the same pricing model that other games have gone by, where 100 is $1, 100 pennies. So you're talking about $1 for XP boost, talking $7 for weapon skin. And that's not even I haven't even looked into what the armor coatings are, right? Whether you can customize the color of your armor. Well, you can't. That's why they have the armor coatings. I don't even know how much those are going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like 1,400. Doing like 1,400 common for skins.
Bucks.
Unfortunately.
And it's like, as I've said before, I can understand that, generally speaking, AAA game title prices haven't really gone up. It's pretty much still sitting at $60 and has been that way for almost 20 years, if not longer. But that being said, I really don't like this idea of microtransactions or even macrotransactions, because what we're seeing is parts of the game are being cut out and then sold to us as if it were new content. Where before, in the past at least, we would get actual new content or stuff that, hey, we had been working on this, we couldn't finish it in time, here it is now, and we would get that at a pretty decent discount. It wouldn't be 20, 30, but I mean, we're seeing now, it's not uncommon to see games where to buy all of the microtransaction content they have costs more than the game itself. That's ridiculous. And you're not getting anywhere near the same
you mean like
value.
What the hell? Valorant, that was it. Because Riot Games, the guys that make Legends also make Valorant, and Valorant has like some really horrendous. First off, there is no such thing as microtransactions.
Well, I mean,
like,
once you get over like $1,
anything over $1 is not micro. That's macro. You know, micro would be under $1. You know,
yeah, it would
a
be like 50
percentage.
cents. And even then, I dislike that kind of stuff because we often see that in mobile games.
Well, that's
And
where
it's
it got
usually
that's where it started and got popular. Now we AAA like full release titles that you're paying $60 for, or in the case of Halo Infinite's free to play multiplayer or fee to play, as I like to call it.
Which was cut out of the main game specifically to go and sell microtransactions.
That's the thing is, it's not like they decided to make, oh, it's free to play, now we need to make, like, oh, but how are we going to monetize it? That's never how they do these things. It's, here's a game that they could easily have charged you for, you know, $1, you know, for, you know, $60, right? Multiplayer and campaign. And have no monetization in it, just it's $60. And like every other Halo game that came before it, you know, with the exception of Halo 5, because Halo 5 was your $60. It was essentially like an EA game, you know, $60. Actually, it was $70. Plus in-game loot boxes and macro transactions, and how they were directly tied to the progression system. Like there was no other way to progress through the game. You had to get the stupid loot boxes, whether through, you know, getting points in game or just spending money. And with Halo Infinite, though, they're making, you know, they make this game free to play with the intent to monetize the game itself, in the game itself. And the problem with that is if you have a game that, you know, say you have a game that's charged, you know, like Halo Reach, like say you have Halo Reach, full Halo game, everything's in it, Forge, multiplayer, campaign, all the game modes, you know, and the ability to create custom games via Forge. All of it's in the game at launch, $60. The game itself has value. Whereas Halo Infinite's free-to-play multiplayer, you know, armor customizations and armor coatings, like skins, you know, just colored skins for various items in the game, they're adding artificial monetary value to that, but it doesn't have any real-world value at all. The digital in-game asset that, in theory, could be removed at any given point.
It's literally them going into an editor, going change value to enter hex code, change this other value to enter hex code. Boom! All right, $5.
Some of them are unique skins, but again, it's like, first off, it has no real world value, and it can be removed at any point in time. You know, that's, you don't own it. And
I mean, then again, with like, you know, the way they've got season passes and Microsoft, whatever the fuck their account thing is, you barely even own games anyways. They want to push this.
That's true. Yeah, with
game
DRMs too.
Ownership as a service.
Right, but again, it's just, you know, that's a different argument. The point is that the game itself, you know, no longer has value. They're trying to put artificial value into items in the game, digital items that have no real world value, whereas the game itself does. You know, a game that costs money, yeah, it costs money because the game itself has value. You know, you have that game, you can play the game and have fun with it. The item, you know, item can exist or not. You know, it doesn't have value. Skin, it's a color for a freaking object, a digital object that doesn't actually exist in reality. Or physical reality. So that's why, you know, that the free-to-play model sucks. Hell, even the game Splitgate. I started playing last night, and it's another free-to-play monetized. You know, literally has fucking slot machines in it. Like that's how you unlock. That's how you unlock gear in that game too. It's very much like Halo 5, except it was free instead of $70. And you know, I'm going to myself thinking, yeah, the game's fun, but I would have much rather have, you know, actually paid, say, like $20 for this game and not have any monetization at all whatsoever. You know, for $20, having this game where I can actually earn armor and customization options, it's just, yeah, it's very greedy, and the whole point is, look, it's a free game. You don't have to partake in the monetization stuff, but the thing is, they tie the customization and the progression systems to the monetization, therefore making anyone trying to earn stuff in-game without paying real money, essentially, it makes it a grind. And then enforces you to pay for stuff. That being said, I've never paid for that type of stuff, but it's
Never.
it still feels like, okay, it feels like I'm being forced to use this system that I don't want to use, and that's when I stop playing the game.
I remember the biggest thing I hated, besides of course the ending, but the biggest thing I hated in Mass Effect 3 with the multiplayer was that the way they did your gear unlocks was literally loot boxes, and you'd have some random chance of getting something, and you could of course buy whatever the in-game currency was and use that to buy the loot boxes.
It's the same thing as Halo 5 and probably in Halo Infinite.
It's like it, and otherwise, I will say, I loved Mass Effect 3's multiplayer experience. I'm really sad that they removed that in the whatever they called
the Legendary Edition
remaster. Because I mean, I still will sometimes jump into a game of that, and there's still players playing it because it's fun, but like seriously, this loot box bullshit has got to stop.
Well, thankfully, I didn't read the article yet, so I don't want to cover it. I can try, but essentially, Congress is actually looking to stop, is trying to put a stop to loot boxes with the AAA gaming doing it, because again, this stuff is worse than gambling. It sucks. It shouldn't be in games, especially games that are marketed to kids. And you have the fact that Halo Infinite, specifically, back to Halo Infinite, you have, they're removing features, and this is not actually alone within Halo Infinite. A lot of games do this. Halo Infinite's just, the more recent example that we're just going to be talking about right now, and that is they remove features, either core features or just regular features that have been in the game or previous versions of the game. They'll remove them to then monetize it. It's taking away options so that it forces you to pay for those options.
Yeah, and it's and honestly, at that point, that's deceptive. Like I remember way back when there were huge controversies about like, oh hey, this game just released, and on the disc there is content there that has been specifically locked out so they can later on sell it to you. Like literally, that was where some of this stuff really started out as. In that they've already made this content, but they're specifically locking it out and then going, oh guys, look at what we made now, give us money for it.
Well, this is, I always compare live service games to like going to a bakery, asking for a cake. You pay the cake, you pay the baker full price, for the cake, and then he gives you a slice, and then he gives you another slice a month later.
They'll give you pieces. They'll give you here's a little bit of egg, here's a little bit of flour.
No, I wouldn't say it's like, because that would imply like you're literally that's more of like a Cyberpunk or Bethesda situation where you have to essentially fix the game yourself. Here it's more like, you're getting parts of the game, you're getting slices of the cake, but you paid already for the full cake, but you're getting slices over a span of time so that you eventually get the full cake, but you paid for the full thing up front. You expected to get the full thing up front, and you're not getting it. And in some cases, they monetize. They'll sell you again each piece, even though you already paid for the full thing. Just like what EA does, and what Destiny is the biggest perpetrator of doing. Destiny 2 specific. And I know Kulios was saying the same exact thing last week with, instead of a bakery example, he was using a restaurant and a waiter. Like, the waiter comes by, takes your order, and then, they start delivering pieces of your meal. or you know the meal gets like less cooked. It's like that. This type of model, business model, would not work in any other industry. Why does it work here? It shouldn't, and it doesn't. But it continues. You know, just because it makes money and it continues does not mean.
I think that is the definition of working, though.
Hold on a sec.
It might not be what we want, but from a business perspective, yeah, it clearly does work.
It shouldn't. You know, just because it's being done doesn't mean it's right. You know, because this thing is working for, and that's the thing. It's not working. It's working for them, but it's not working for players. I should have clarified. You know, it's not working for players because who gets screwed over? We do. Who wins? The companies that make the games because they're making all the money. And they don't have to do as much work as actually making the game. Oh, we got an update on the Twitch thing. So Twitch has apparently been dealing with raids that are mostly done by bots. And because of I guess the all sorts of problems going on with Twitch, a lot of streamers and creators are striking. A day off Twitch is what they're doing. Protest that they're doing. The mishandling of employees, of bot thing, the hate raids, the list goes on. Twitch seems to have a lot of problems. Look, it does some things right. Like I prefer streaming to it over YouTube. Easier to do. Why is better. But it's definitely not without its problems. So yeah, that's really it though. Mostly Star Citizen. Unless I do have this one Netflix thing. Netflix, so we talked about how Netflix was getting into gaming via stuff. So they're testing out their first mobile game in Poland. I don't know how this is going to work. I guess like the mobile games will be part of the Netflix application on your. If I'm reading this right, so Netflix has taken another step forward in its video game strategy, testing the integration of mobile titles into service. Okay, so yeah, that's what they're doing. The test is currently limited to Netflix subscribers in Poland and just 2 games, Stranger Things 4 and 3, according to the company's Netflix account. Subscribers accessing Netflix on Android will now find links to the 2 games within the app itself, which will take them to the Google Play Store, where they can install them at no additional cost. Because they'll be monetized in the game. The company reiterated that its games will have no ads, no in-app purchases, and will be included in Netflix's paid subscription plan. Ah, you know what that's. So, assuming they actually abide by that, like there's not going to be any monetization in these games at all. They're included in the subscription plan, as everything else on Netflix is. That's not horrible.
Yeah, makes me wonder how they're going to gain revenue from that, though.
They're probably going to raise this. Done it before.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They've what used to be $8 a month, and they raised it to like 10 and 11. What the hell is it even at now?
Don't ask questions.
No, I don't pay for Netflix. They're probably just going to increase the bill. So it's very, very early days, and we've got a lot of work to do. First step, Netflix peaked. As the firm says, it's only an incremental step, but it does give a better idea of what Netflix planned along rumored sector. Hardly say the game, mobile game. Earlier this year, reports emerged on Netflix ramping up its efforts following the success of both the mobile streaming titles and interactive shows like Black Mirror and Bandersnatch. The company also turned heads when it hired former Facebook and EA executive Mike Veru to the newly created position of. Shortly after, the company briefly discussed plans for its games in its financial results, revealing that it would be focused on ad-free, app purchases-free mobile games first. So they probably will add eventually. Inevitably, rumors have circulated that the company is building up to launching a Stadia-like gaming streaming service, but this is perhaps unlikely, as its current strategy makes more creative. I mean, if they do the same thing as what Netflix, as they do with the movies, where they just license out movies, cycle them in and out of the streaming service, the gaming version of Netflix could work, but personally, I'd never use it. It's the one thing for movies, but movies are, for lack of a better term, disposable entertainment. Whereas games are replayable entertainment. Yeah, but they're not going to monetize the games yet. First, but yeah, the games are going to be included in your plan. So pretty much, if you have Netflix or access to Netflix, then you have access. But again, they're mobile games, not like going to be a touch face Sony exclusive type of game set in the universe of insert Netflix franchise here. A third person action. Don't expect that. Be more mobile, not. I mean, it makes sense though, because look at the audience that they're trying to target. The moviegoer audience, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not like they're trying to target play real video games. I know that sounds a little kind of come off as a jerk when I say that, and I apologize. I'm just trying to think they're trying to target their movie and TV show audience on their platform. From that perspective, it makes sense. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but it makes sense. Look, as long as they don't monetize the hell out of it, then it's fine. Again, it's being included in their plan. If they monetize it and it's being included in the plan, then we have a problem. Well, I don't, but the play it do.
Yeah.
Specific. Also, Data, have you seen any of the gameplay for the Aliens Fireteam stuff?
I saw some early gameplay. I haven't seen anything since then. I think I saw some screenshots on Steam that looked okay, but other than that, no.
So, because I actually did watch some IGN had a review not review, but they did a gameplay post review, and I muted it, but I watched it. Easy stuff.
Banana film.
Sorry about that.
Banana film.
Customer support. How can I help you? No. So it looks all right. It's not. Let me put it this way: if you're a huge Alien fan like I am, and want something that makes you feel like you're in the Aliens universe, play Alien Isolation or AVP 2010, because just from what I'm looking at, just looking at some of the gameplay, trying to find, it doesn't look like that Alien, experience, like with your Marine buddies, holding out.
Dying horribly to aliens left, right, and center until you're the only one left, and they're stalking you like a
And there's no
toxic
story
prey.
that I'm aware of. Maybe there is. I just
Why
don't
would
know.
there be a story? The story is you die.
But it's like it's not like a narrative experience like AVP or Alien Isolation. It's just
okay, fine. You cinematically die.
It's pretty much just a it's like a zombie horde mode, the game, with an alien skin.
But they don't die that easy.
I mean, they do if you have pulse rifles. You just gotta be you just gotta have some distance between. Otherwise, that blood splatter is gonna kill you.
But that's the best part.
A blood splatter.
Yeah. That just reminds me of in Halo 1 when you're going through I forgot which level it was, but it was when you're almost to the point of beating the flood, and you're going through all the hallways there, and you come across one, and there's just alien blood everywhere.
Oh, 343 Guilty Spark. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, because you're up until this point, and honestly, it was such a trip,
well, that 343 Guilty Spark is probably one of the best levels of Halo of all time. By the way, the footage I have on screen right now from AVP 2010, footage I captured from the Marine campaign. Because it looked low lighting.
In the original Halo, though, it's like up until this point it was okay, you're this some kind of like super soldier or something like that, you're fighting this alien threat, doing the best you can to help out your the rest of the military here, and then suddenly oh shit, there's something worse. Fuck.
Well, that best where you have when you find the Marine's Jenkins' helmet. You watch.
Was it Jenkins or was it Johnson? No, it was
Jenkins. Johnson survives.
Because we see Johnson,
Jenkins' helmet, and you watch the video footage, and you hear like my favorite part of that. My favorite part in terms of like, oh crap moment at level is when you hear the Marine over comms going, "We got contacts, but they're not Covenant." Like,
and you're just like, oh shit,
like something new. Like something that's killing both the UNSC and the Covenant and making a mess of things. Because you see the jackal body in the hallway that literally painted the entire corridor in its blood. You have areas of the map that you, when you're walking around for the first time, enter the complex, it's broken. Like parts of the area are broken. Which was unusual to see up until that point. You didn't see broken areas of Forerunner Arc. But now you are seeing it. You're seeing like this green stuff. You're seeing blood everywhere. It's amazing how well that level does in terms of setup.
I just love the plot twist of the story, because at least to my memory, that hadn't really been done before. Because up until then, it just presents itself as this kind of a straightforward science fiction shooter, which admittedly hadn't been explored overly much, at least not like the genre has now. But there were really no hints up until that point of what was to come. And so it just hits you right outside of left field. You're just like, holy shit, this just got serious.
Right, whereas in Alien Fireteam Elite, you don't have any of that. It's all very bright, colorful, your HUD is oh boy, the HUD is still a mess. It's a little different from what we saw in trailers data, but it is still busy. Like every single control has a on-screen HUD marker. Like D-pad to do this, whatever. It's like, which is not great, especially for a Aliens game. And then you have the fact that it's in third person, whereas the footage I'm showing here from AVP 2010, first off, very minimal HUD, only the motion tracker and health. And that depends on difficulty. Like difficulty will have some aspect. Also, your ammo only shows up when you're firing. But another thing that the AVP game did was, because again you're playing as a Marine fighting scary aliens, you have a low field of view. Same with Alien Isolation, you have a low field of view and it's in first person, because the higher field of view, the more you can see around you. The whole point is you kind of tunnel viewed, only focus on one thing. Adds for like, okay, what's around me, what's happening type creep factor. Like to me, I like maybe we're just kind of nitpicking on our team game. I haven't played it, but just from looking at it, it just doesn't look like what I would expect Aliens game.
Yeah,
Aliens,
it feels like it's more of a Left 4 Dead kind of
right,
wave survival type game than
or like a
fighting
Gears,
for your life.
like a Gears of War horde mode.
Yeah.
And they're like a World War Z zombie. Horde mode shooters. Just didn't throw around with that game. And it's a shame because something like that could be done really well in the Alien. Again, like in an Alien game, I would expect something that Aliens has always done is characters, horror, and story. Like I feel like you need those three things in order to be an Alien. Isolation does that really well. AVP kind of misses the mark on characters aspect, but everything else is nailed. The whole point isn't the story is fighting aliens and predators. Oh, Victor Wolfong's in saying, "I live." Because it would be cool to see future Alien game where the acid blood actually destroys and melts the environment. The new game doesn't take itself seriously. Yeah, that's the kind of feel I'm getting from it too. Like it looks very colorful, very bright. Like whereas Aliens was always dark, and I don't mean like dark toned in story, like dark lighting, like because the xenomorphs are literally black in color, so you have dark lighting, makes them harder to see and they're harder to fight.
And a lot of the sets were supposed to be out in space and kind of not upper class environments. They were very lived in,
right? Like industrial,
old, yeah,
like in Aliens,
dirty, dingy type.
Yeah,
areas.
like in Aliens, you're literally most of the film is in that industrial terraforming station.
Yeah.
It's a station that's been lived in and used by many people and stuff, and then was then attacked by aliens. The environment itself had like just a visual history. It wasn't clean. It was lived in. It was used. Something that I think a lot of 70s and 80s sci-fi got really well done. That lived in feel that a lot of sci-fi had. Then you have in the Aliens Fireteam game, like some of the footage I've seen, it literally you're fighting during the day in a sunny environment on a planetary surface, as opposed to a station base or something.
I mean, there's nothing to say that aliens wouldn't attack you in the middle of the day on a planet. So it could happen. It's just a way different feel than what we're used to.
Yeah, that's my point. Like it has a different feel. It doesn't feel scary. It's just like you have a bunch of black things that you can see clear as day, literally, across a light gray, architecture. Really easy to make them out, and here. Oh, another ad. And third person, like, I don't know. To me, Aliens game, it should be in first person. That's the first thing you should.
Because we must capture your fear.
I mean, Aliens game. There's horror to that. At least there should be. Like here, every time you kill an alien, you have a little X, a little HUD marker that tells you they're dead. In AVP, you didn't have that. It was good that you didn't have it. It's like, especially in AVP, whereas you shot an alien, think, okay, he's down. You think he's dead, but then it turns out, oh crap, he's still alive and crawling towards you, still trying to kill you. Like it made sure that it forces you to kind of think twice about, your tactics, how you're doing things. Oh, am I just shooting them until they're down, or am I actually killing them here? Also, this HUD really is quite a mess. Have we have 23 elements on the HUD right now.
What's it? Casuals.
It's not exactly done in a very clean, done in a basic way, not very. First off, you have a key, literally Q, E, 4, and 3 all have keys on the screen. Which again kind of tells you what this trying to who this game's trying to market toward. It's evidently like let's be real here. This is pretty much just like trying to market off of the Alien franchise. Not like they're trying to make a immersive experience like Alien Isolation or.
Come on, single player game
even,
in 2021.
What was that?
Yeah.
I said, come on, a single player game in 2021? Who are you kidding?
Hell, even Colonial Marines at least tried. Like, a lot of its faults are mainly character and writing, but also the horrible AI, but they tried. You gotta give them credit there. This isn't even tried. It's just an alien skin on a Left 4 Dead or World War Z. The only difference between this and World War Z is, I'm assuming I could be wrong here. Can you set up barricades in Aliens game? Then it is just like World War Z. Otherwise, it looks more like Left 4 Dead. Either way, it's just a horde shooter with alien skin. That's disappointing. By the way, some of the mods for Left 4 Dead are. Yeah, you ever see the mod?
Not Bracken?
You ever see the mod that makes all the zombies Berg?
Nope. Never modded that game.
It's pretty much all the zombies are Zoidberg, and the noises they make are just scuttling noises.
That would be hilarious.
Exactly.
I would probably die just from laughing too much.
And it's all like it's all cartoon proportions too. It's not like it's just Zoidberg's head on a zombie body. So you literally just have a 3-dimensional Zoidberg coming at you.
Terrifying, truly.
Victor Wolfgang says, I like Alien 3, even if it has problems as a sequel. It stands on its own quite well. Alien 3, yeah, it's a shit sequel because it kills off some of the best characters. But, I mean, like, the film itself, like, if you replace Ripley with and just all the aliens characters in it with anyone else, like, it's a story following new characters in the universe. Right, like they just came off from experiencing alien something and thought it was done, but it's not. Whatever. And then Alien 3 happens. Right, like that's a setup, and then movie. It would be a good film. It's just because they killed off fan favorite characters. First off, it wasn't well. Second off, they killed off fan favorite characters. You know what? The green hue environment here in this footage kind of reminds me more of a flood outbreak than a xenomorph outbreak. Like when you're fighting xenos, you want it to be darkly lit. I think the scene in Aliens 5, all the Marines are getting killed. Can't see anything. They're not coming up on infrared.
Well, honestly, from a Marine's perspective, not fighting in that environment is probably ideal. But I know what you
Right,
mean.
but you're not choosing where you're fighting. You're just trying to fight to get out of there. Yeah, this is very much like Left. You know what, that would be. I know. Also, Halo 3 ODST is getting a flood firefight in season 8 of
Didn't we already have that?
Flood firefight.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Flood firefight.
Oh, flood. I thought you said squad. And I
No,
was like,
no, flood.
huh?
So in ODST.
That's
so,
interesting.
Yeah, so you get to play as ODSTs fighting off the flood. You gotta play that.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be like honestly, it'll be better than this.
343 needs to go and throw an entirely different team in charge of their content creation, but in terms of iterating on already created content, as we're seeing with the Master Chief Collection, they do okay.
Well, that's because they have the team that's doing all the Master Chief stuff is not. It's not the main. It's not 343. I mean, it is, but it's
whoever's doing all the Master Chief stuff.
It's
put them in charge of the main shit.
Like, cause isn't MCC being done by a lot of the guys that did Halo Online, stuff like that?
I thought I heard something to where 343 actually supposedly did a lot of the work for Master Chief Collection and porting it to PC.
Okay, I mean, I could be wrong. I thought it was all Halo Online guys, ex-Halo Online guys. Maybe it is 343. Or when I say, of course, it's 343, obviously. But I mean, is it core devs and the guys that the same type of developers that are working on Halo Infinite?
No idea.
Obviously, it's not going to be the same guys that are working on Halo Infinite.
But just whoever's at least making the creative decisions of some of the content and stuff being added and put in there are at least doing a halfway decent job. Theoretically.
Well, if they can put the flood in Halo, flood firefight in Halo,
Maybe.
I know Halo SPV 3.3 has a Floodfire fight. Awesome. Because SPV 3 adds flood forms. New flood forms. Like jackal carriers. That crawl and really freaking creepy and worst scream ever. I think we're done. Unless,
Nope.
tried logging on to Star Citizen character. When I loaded into the server, it would just load me back into the.
Huh.
No, that's odd.
What was that?
So that's strange.
Yeah.
No, I have to do a character reset.
I honestly haven't even tried if the character reset fixed anything.
Do it.
No.
I shan't.
Oh yeah, it's a shame about that Halo. The aliens, our team, and Halo Infinite.
I don't know. I'm not gonna bury the alien game yet because a lot could change between now.
Well, I
and
just
when
meant what
this
it could have
release.
been compared.
Yeah.
Definitely could have been more. I'm not saying that it's not fun because I haven't played it. I'm saying it doesn't look like what I would expect from an, especially after games like AV.
Well, first of all, how
Honestly.
dare you? Second of all,
You know what they could do? Imagine if they.
pineapples?
No, I just imagine if they had like an aliens type game, Fire Team, but with the AI of Alien Isolation. As opposed to just mindless zombie or mindless xenomorphs running at you. Droves
Well, calling them mindless is so rude.
saying they're mindful.
Only on Tuesdays.
But I think that wraps it up.
Take it away, George. Don't
Who's George?
ask questions.
I thought it was Danger Dan. And his
Don't ask
his
questions.
cyclone off into the black hole.